The story begins in a world where beasts and humans coexist, a world filled with wonder and mystery. In this world, having a powerful and rare beast means everything. They are the symbols of power, capable of controlling the elements and reshaping the world itself. And at the very apex of this world stands a young man named Su Liang. He is revered because his companion beast is the legendary lunar butterfly. The lunar butterfly is a creature of myth, a rare beast that only exists in legends. It is said to possess the divine power to turn back time, reverse karma, and grant eternal life. With such a magnificent beast, Su Liang is known as the Lunar King. He is sought after and admired by countless people, a crescent moon symbol shimmering in his eyes, signifying the lunar god's favor. The scene shifts to a majestic city under a clear blue sky, where a dragon soars freely. A voice exclaims, "This is really amazing." We meet a young man sitting at his computer. He's admiring the legendary figure he's just read about, a man who stands at the top of the world with millions of believers. But as he thinks about it, a cold sweat runs down his back. Something about this amazing story is deeply unsettling to him. He scrolls, a sense of dread growing. "No, let me think about this," he says to himself. "There's something even more amazing, and that's..." The shocking truth is revealed. He points to himself in disbelief. He is actually Su Liang, the Lunar King he was just admiring. This young man is indeed Su Liang. A few hours ago, he transmigrated from 21st century Earth, inheriting the body and fragmented memories of the original owner. And the reason for his transmigration: the so-called invincible Lunar King had the most absurd death imaginable. He accidentally rolled out of bed while sleeping and died. It would have been a great starting point if the legend was true, but Su Liang knows better. With a grimace, he decides to face the music and summons his status window. The system screen flickers to life, displaying his pathetic reality. Beast Tamer, Su Liang 1 star. Companion Beast, Flicker Butterfly low rank. Contract Beast, none. He screams in frustration. The Lunar King's beast isn't a legendary lunar butterfly at all. The great legend was a complete and utter lie. The weight of the original owner's exaggerated history crashes down on him. All these grand achievements, from becoming the Lunar King at 15 to challenging an emperor, were built on nothing. Are you kidding me? "Isn't this too much?" he cries. However, the original owner wasn't just joking around. Surrounded by adoring fans, he genuinely believed he was incredibly strong. He was utterly convinced that his lowly flicker butterfly was the incarnation of a divine beast, and that it would reveal its true, powerful form when he faced a desperate situation. Standing on stage, he preached to his followers, "As long as you believe, it will come." His charisma and handsome looks were enough to make the crowd go wild. Fueled by his own delusion, he was not afraid at all, even when facing the mighty 8-star beast tamer, Emperor Kangyu. "What a powerful and dominating force," Su Liang says, cringing at the memory. "Enough. If I hadn't seen the illustration of the beast myself, I would have really believed it." After wallowing in despair over the ridiculous legacy he inherited, he sighs. "Forget it," he resolves. "Let me take a look at my beast first." He calls out its name, summoning his one and only companion beast, Flicker Butterfly. His eyes, shimmering with a crescent light, widen as he beholds the creature for the first time. A tiny, glittering butterfly appears before him. For a brief moment, all his complaining and despair vanish, replaced by a simple, unexpected thought: so cute. The little butterfly flutters over and lands on his head. His brief moment of finding it cute is over, replaced by a deadpan acceptance of his pathetic situation. The reality of his uselessness crashes down on him. "What do I do?" he panics. "Forget the battle in 3 years. I can't even defeat the elites from the academy right now." Tears stream down his face as he sobs, realizing the impossible task ahead. "If I don't have any cheats, it's going to be impossible for me to surpass Emperor Kangyu in 3 years." But then a thought strikes him, cutting through his despair. "Wait, speaking of cheats, I think I might have something." He remembers a mysterious item from the original owner's memories. It's something the original Su Liang seemed to fear and reject, but for the new Su Liang, it could be his only hope. With a surge of newfound hope, he summons it. A book made of pure golden light materializes in his hand. Lunar Book. He holds the radiant book in his hands, his eyes wide with astonishment as he gazes upon its contents. These are illustrations. The pages are filled with illustrations of various low-rank creatures: a juvenile moon fox, a spirit moonbird, a shadow moon mouse, and a fluorescent flower. His eyes light up as he understands the book's mechanism. So that's how it is. As long as I touch the beast in reality, the icon will be activated. Once I've collected enough beasts, I get to roll for another beast, just like a game card. He eagerly flips through the pages, his finger landing on a tab that reads Supreme Rank Creatures. This could be his ticket to real power. And there it is, a blank entry for the lunar butterfly, marked with a huge question mark. Su Liang finally understands. The reason why the original owner rejected the book so much is because it denied his belief that he had the lunar butterfly. He lets out a weary, exasperated sigh. Haha, no wonder. The sheer delusion of his predecessor was almost impressive. But despair quickly turns into cunning determination. But, he thinks, a grin spreading across his face, this is the Moonlight Beast Taming Academy. Moonlight-type beasts are everywhere. I'll save up enough to roll 10 times, and who knows, I might be able to get the real lunar butterfly. Putting on his grand lunar king robes, he sets his priority. The battle is 3 years away. For now, the most important thing is to hide from everyone's eyes and secretly become stronger. The scene shifts to the grounds of the advanced dormitory of the Moonlight Beast Taming Academy, where a beautiful fountain glistens in the sun. A young woman is gently feeding a blade of grass to a small, adorable creature. Little rabbit, be good, eat some grass. Her friend Su Jing scolds her. Bai Yuer, you always feed these low-rank creatures. What are you going to do if they really stick to you? Bai Yuer just smiles and says it's for fun. Su Jing isn't amused. How can it be nothing? You are an elite of the academy. If you get tainted with the smell of useless creatures, you won't be able to attract powerful beasts. With stars in her eyes, Su Jing goes on about her idol. The Lunar King never touches ordinary beasts. He won't even look at middle or high-rank beasts, let alone supreme-rank ones. The little moonlight rabbit looks up, its cute face a picture of innocence, unaware of the debate it's causing. Su Jing declares with certainty, it must be because the lunar butterfly hates the smell of lowly creatures. The little rabbit continues to listen, blissfully unaware. Suddenly, a footstep lands nearby, and the poor rabbit is so startled that it tumbles over backwards. The two girls look up, confused. What could have startled the little creature so badly? Their confusion turns to wide-eyed shock as they recognize the regal figure who has just arrived, his presence immediately commanding their full attention. It's none other than the Lunar King himself, Su Liang, standing before them with an imposing aura. Both girls are instantly starstruck, their hearts pounding in the presence of their idol. The girls are completely captivated by his gaze. Those crescent-shaped eyes, a mark of the lunar god, are filled with an oppressive power that commands respect. Just one look from him fills them with an overwhelming need to submit. They can't help but feel flustered and blush in his presence. While he maintains a cool and intimidating exterior, Su Liang is internally panicking. What the F***, a cat girl, don't tell me she's a human and beast. He quickly decides to make his exit. The Lunar King's persona requires him to remain aloof and avoid contact with beasts. He turns and walks away, leaving the two starstruck girls behind. Following his plan, he arrives at a magnificent building with a giant, glowing moon above it, the Moon Pavilion. He looks up at the grand structure, a place he only knew from the original owner's memories. So this is the Moon Pavilion. He walks toward the entrance, surrounded by lush gardens under the magical glow of the artificial night sky. He enters the pavilion, his eyes gleaming with determination. With the number of low-rank beasts in the pavilion, if all of them are unlocked, I should be able to draw 10 times. As he walks through the corridor, he notices countless little wisps of light, the spirits of the beasts housed within, floating all around him. He stops, looking around at the beautiful spectacle in slight confusion. Curiously, he reaches out his finger and touches one of the glowing orbs. The moment his finger makes contact, a surge of energy erupts and a notification appears. He doesn't even need to find the actual beasts. Just touching their ambient energy is enough to unlock their illustrations in the lunar book. In an instant, his book is filled with a whole host of new beasts. The moon element, juvenile moon fox, fluorescent flower, moon spirit bird, shadow moon mouse, and the shining moon fish. He's shocked to discover another amazing feature. The lunar book can also reveal specific information and battle skills. A confident smile spreads across his face as he walks forward, surrounded by the ghostly images of the beasts he has just collected. As expected of my cheat skill, the ethereal forms of the low-ranked beasts, like the juvenile moon fox, seem to fly alongside him. He continues deeper into the pavilion, watching as the spirits of different beasts float past, each one adding to his growing collection. He suddenly stops, noticing that the spirits of the low-rank beasts have disappeared. He looks ahead towards a large door, sensing a change in the atmosphere. This place is so cold, and the low-rank beasts are staying away from it. Looks like this is the territory of some mid-rank beast. He enters a vast, circular chamber. The air is cool and still, and magnificent crystals hang from the high ceiling like chandeliers. His eyes widen in astonishment as he sees what lies in the center of the room. Resting peacefully on a raised dais is a magnificent white deer. Its antlers are a beautiful, crystalline purple, and it sleeps serenely before a window showing a starry sky and a large crescent moon. He approaches slowly, captivated by the creature's beauty and powerful presence. That's a deer. He can't help but be stunned. He's never seen such a majestic and beautiful creature before. He turns his attention to a nearby information panel, which identifies the beast. It is a white flower deer, a moonlight-type mid-rank beast, known for its extreme beauty and rarity. Su Liang reads the description with a strained smile, while two other students complain in the background about the extravagance. They can't believe the academy, which is open to the public, would spend so much to support a single mid-rank beast. He overhears their conversation and silently agrees. The treatment this deer receives is unlike anything he's ever seen for other beasts, raising his suspicion. The students continue to scheme, with one suggesting they should try to get it because of how pretty it is. His friend is shocked by the bold idea. Though it appears to be sleeping, the deer's eye twitches, its sharp hearing picking up on their malicious conversation. The first student continues, suggesting that rich people would want such a beautiful beast just for show. He leans in to whisper his plan, unaware he has been overheard. Suddenly, a torrent of water crashes down from above, completely drenching the student who is plotting to capture the deer. His friend watches in stunned silence. The two are left soaked and bewildered, with no idea what just happened. They look up to see the white flower deer, now sitting upright with a smug and intimidating gaze, clearly the one responsible for the sudden shower. Terrified, they scramble to escape. "No way, don't tell me it understands our words," one exclaims. His friend urges him to hurry, remembering that some intelligent beasts exist. Su Liang watches the scene unfold. He notes that the deer is indeed stunning, and its intelligent reaction is understandable. It seems he's also figured out the origin of some mixed-blood beasts. The deer then turns its attention to Su Liang, tilting its head with a look of curiosity, as if questioning why he isn't scared or running away like the others. A close-up of the deer's eye reveals a deep intelligence, a knowing gaze that proves it is far more than a simple animal. The deer's gaze meets his. Su Liang remains calm, his own crescent-shaped eyes observing the creature with a steady, calculating look. The deer gracefully gets up and walks closer to Su Liang, intrigued by the strange human who shows no fear. They stand face to face, locked in a silent stare-down. An unspoken challenge passes between the mysterious beast and the boy with a hidden identity. Su Liang decides this is his chance. He subtly reaches out his hand, ready to use his cheat skill, the lunar book, on this magnificent creature. He summons the book. As it materializes with a brilliant flash of light, the deer is startled and leaps back in surprise. The book opens and a notification appears. A new beast has been unlocked. Su Liang stares at the page, utterly shocked by what it reveals. How is this possible? He thinks in disbelief. The lunar book reveals the deer's true identity. It is not a mid-rank beast, but a kingdom-destroying supreme beast. His mind races with the definition of a supreme beast, the highest ranking of all, a master that rules over other animals. The sheer pressure they emit can kill weaker creatures, and if they were to go berserk, they could raze entire regions to the ground. An image of chaos and destruction flashes through his mind. Why did this terrifying walking nuclear bomb appear in the academy? He panics. Sweat drips down his face as the gravity of the situation sinks in. With a creature this powerful nearby, the whole school might crumble down at any time. He tries to calm his racing heart. Looking at the deer, which appears perfectly peaceful, he reasons, "Wait, calm down. Since a supreme rank beast can peacefully stay here, maybe it's docile and the school knows it won't hurt others." He thinks back to the two students. A chibi version of the deer breathes fire at them in his imagination. He concludes that if the deer were truly hostile, it wouldn't have just spit on them. But he remains skeptical. He glances at the falsified information panel. "But I still can't rule out the possibility that it's only pretending to be gentle. Just like a protagonist in an action novel, even though he's overpowered, he has to hide it to get things." He lets out a self-pitying sigh. "Unlike me, who really got the short end of the stick, so weak and helpless, and can only rely on my image to scare away people." The deer seems to sense his thoughts, and it glances over at the incorrect information panel with a questioning look. It then turns its gaze back to Su Liang, its intelligent eyes seeming to confirm that it knows the sign is a lie. Su Liang realizes the incredible truth. The deer is fully aware of its own deception. "So you also know that your information card is wrong." The implication of a beast this intelligent sends a jolt of fear through him. Wait. The moment its cover is blown, the deer's gentle demeanor vanishes. It lowers its head and takes an aggressive stance, its eyes glowing with menace. Su Liang feels the crushing pressure of a supreme beast about to strike. He panics, thinking, "It looks like it's going to attack me." Is it because I stayed too long and now it thinks that its identity might have been exposed? He immediately switches into acting mode, trying to play dumb. Tilda, this mid-rank white flower deer is really too pretty. I got so stunned by it I couldn't move. He laughs, while internally screaming that the most important thing is to not become its enemy. He continues the charade, pretending to admire the surroundings to buy himself a moment to escape. With a strained, pleasant smile on his face, he finds his opening. And then he bolts, leaving a cloud of dust in his wake. Make a run for it. The deer is left alone, watching the empty doorway. It seems thoughtful, not angry, as it contemplates the strange boy who just fled. The perspective shifts and we hear the deer's inner monologue, that person just now. From the white flower deer's perspective, it recalls Su Liang's unique, crescent-shaped eyes and the powerful image it saw reflected within them. Who exactly is he? The deer calmly walks back to its large, comfortable-looking pillow. It begins searching under its pillow, as if looking for a hidden treasure. And in a shocking twist, it pulls out a smartphone, with the picture of an anime girl as its wallpaper. It opens a search engine and types in human with crescent eyes. Its recent search history reveals a taste for dramatic romance novels, with titles like My Wife is the Supreme Master and The Domineering Beast Emperor Loves Me. Lying down comfortably, it uses its hoof to tap the screen, beginning its research on the mysterious boy. As it reads the search results, its eyes widen in utter shock. He's. It seems to have discovered the legendary identity of Su Liang, the Lunar King. The scene opens on the Beast Taming Academy dormitories under the full moon. Su Liang, having just survived a tense encounter, lets out a sigh of relief, thinking to himself, that was close. As Su Liang walks, he reflects on the powerful moon chaser beast he just saw. He scoffs at the Academy's methods, comparing their handling of such a creature to unethically putting a T-Rex in a zoo. He vividly recalls the majestic white flower deer, also known as the moon chaser. He's certain that despite its graceful appearance, it possesses enough power to obliterate a T-Rex with a single kick. A shiver runs down his spine as he admits to himself that if he'd met that supreme rank beast in the wild, he would have been killed instantly. Only another beast of the same supreme rank could ever hope to challenge it. He clutches his chest in frustration, lamenting that his own beast is the lowest of the low. He knows that without his special cheats, he would be utterly powerless. Suddenly, a thought strikes him. Speaking of cheats, he remembers the moon pavilion and an icon that appeared. It's a shadow moon mouse, complete with its rank and battle skill. He wonders if this cheat can show him the skills of any beast he possesses. The implications hit him all at once. A wide, excited grin spreads across his face as he realizes this means he'll be able to know the skills of every single beast he has ever touched. Su Liang strikes a dramatic pose, overcome with joy. Everything is in the palm of my hands, he declares. This means I can finally afford to act stupid now. Eager to test his newfound ability, he hurries off with his book in hand, deciding to find a beast within the academy grounds to confirm his theory. His search doesn't take long. By a fountain, he spots a small, rabbit-like creature with long, floppy ears. Isn't that? He thinks to himself. He recognizes it instantly. It's the same moonlight rabbit he had seen earlier that morning. It sits there quietly, looking timid. Su Liang finds it strange. He knows that according to this world's logic, moonlight-type beasts should become aggressive and powerful under the moonlight. Yet this rabbit shows no reaction at all. A close-up shows the moonlight rabbit's innocent face, its large, pink eyes staring blankly, giving it an appearance of utter harmlessness. Suddenly, a shocking possibility dawns on Su Liang. His eyes widen in disbelief as he stammers, Don't tell me it's. Hiding its true form, his imagination runs wild, picturing the tiny rabbit transforming into a massive, muscular behemoth. He panics, thinking he might have met a boss-level beast even more powerful than a Supreme Rank 1. He quickly snaps out of his daydream, trying to appear nonchalant. He starts whistling and talking to the rabbit, commenting on how cute it is while subtly preparing to use his ability. Just in time, he thinks, reaching his hand towards the creature. I'll use the Lunar Book's encyclopedia function to unveil your face and see what you really are. He gently crouches down and touches the small rabbit's head, activating the power of his book. A brilliant light emanates from the Lunar Book, projecting the rabbit's status into the air. Moonlight rabbit missing lunar physique. The book explains the condition. A genetic defect means it can't be strengthened by normal moonlight and only has combat power during a full moon. Su Liang is aghast. What? Then isn't it even worse than the lowest ranked beast? Utterly dejected, Su Liang buries his face in his hand. All his hopes of discovering a hidden powerhouse are dashed. He sighs, guessing that lucky encounters like that would never happen twice. Just then, a sound makes him look up. a person has dropped their smartphone and a bag of Beast Happy Biscuits nearby. A close-up of the phone's screen shows someone was in the middle of typing a search query, the Lunar King. Just as he's lost in his disappointment, the clatter of a falling object breaks the silence. Su Liang's head snaps up, his curiosity piqued as he looks toward the source of the noise. Standing near a tree is a mysterious woman with long white hair and a distinctive cat-eared veil, her dropped phone and biscuits at her feet. She stares in his direction, creating a tense and intriguing atmosphere under the full moon. From behind a pillar, Bai Yuer watches in shock. She can't believe her eyes. The great Lunar King is gently petting a common, low-rank moonlight rabbit. She immediately panics, thinking she's accidentally stumbled upon his greatest secret. The scene transitions, showing the exterior of the student dormitories at night as Bai Yuer heads back to her room, her mind still reeling. As Bai Yuer enters her room, her roommate, wearing a pajama set and a beauty face mask, turns to her and says, "You're finally back." Bai Yuer remains silent, lost in thought. Her roommate notices her strange behavior and asks, "Hey, what's with you?" With a serious and hesitant look, Bai Yuer finally speaks, asking her roommate if there's any small chance that the mighty and fearsome Lunar King actually has a secret fondness for small animals. Her roommate stares back at her, her eyes wide and blank through the holes in her face mask, trying to process the ridiculous question. Giving a look of complete disbelief, the roommate asks, did you lose your brain in class?" Flustered by the reaction, Bai Yuer quickly waves her hands dismissively and laughs nervously, claiming she was just joking to cover up her strange theory. As she walks away, the scene shifts into her imagination. She's completely engrossed in what she saw. In her mind, she pictures the undefeatable Lunar King, but her image of him is no longer just of a powerful ruler. Her fantasy shows Su Liang tenderly holding the weak moonlight rabbit, a gentle smile on his face, surrounded by an aura of blooming lilies. Bai Yuer blushes furiously at the thought. Don't tell me that facade of his is only known to me, she wonders, completely misinterpreting the situation and feeling a special connection. Meanwhile, the real Su Liang is walking back to his room, acknowledging to himself that he was seen doing something out of character. He remains completely unbothered as he approaches his door. He thinks to himself that the rabbit was pretty cute, and maybe some girls would appreciate that sort of thing. He pushes his door open, ready to finally get some rest. Whatever, he thinks, I'm tired after tossing all night, now I just want to get some good sleep. But the moment he looks inside, his eyes snap wide open in shock. A single bead of sweat drips down his face as he sees who is waiting for him. Standing silently in the middle of his room is a tall, imposing humanoid beast. With red skin, horns, and a menacing tail, she is clearly not a student. Frozen in the doorway, Su Liang's eyes are wide with terror as he shouts, "Who's that?" His mind races. He knows that's an appearance no human could possibly have. Don't tell me it's a humanoid beast, he thinks, horrified. But more important than her appearance is the immense, oppressive feeling that washes over him, causing shadows to fall over his face. The intimidating aura radiating from the strange woman is overwhelming. Su Liang realizes with dawning horror that she feels much stronger than the supreme rank moon chaser. Her terrifying aura is beyond anything he can comprehend. Su Liang is so scared that he's completely frozen, unable to move a muscle. As Su Liang stands there, paralyzed by fear, the impossibly strong humanoid beast suddenly and gracefully drops to one knee. With her head bowed in a show of absolute reverence, she addresses him, her voice steady. "I give my greetings to the Lunar King and the Lunar God." A close-up shows the subordinate's face, a distinct star-shaped mark under her eye. She remains in her kneeling position, dutifully awaiting a response, completely unaware that her king is not only terrified but also desperately trying to place her familiar face. As Su Liang stares at the kneeling subordinate, a glimmer of recognition sparks. He thinks, wait, it looks like I know her. He recalls from the original owner's memories that she should be one of the 4 powerful moons in his dual moon order. However, the memory is incomplete. A diagram of the 4 moons appears in his mind, but 3 of them are blank question marks. He's panicking internally, wondering, but who exactly? An awkward, intense silence fills the room. Su Liang stands there, completely at a loss for what to do or say, while his powerful subordinate waits patiently on the floor. However, his silence is completely misinterpreted. The subordinate looks up with awe, thinking, as expected of the Lunar King, the world's strongest beast tamer, a living legend. Even his silence is so sacred and dignified. Meanwhile, Su Liang is screaming internally for help because he really can't remember a thing. Trying to play the part, Su Liang clears his throat, puts on a thoughtful expression, and finally asks, what do you want?" She begins her report, stating that their investigation shows remnants of the Black Moon Order have been active again and have made contact with the Lunar God Palace. Su Liang is completely clueless, thinking, Black Moon Order. What the heck is that? Why doesn't it ring any bells? Noticing his lack of response, his subordinate looks up and asks, My lord, Su Liang, with his back turned, is having a full-blown panic attack. He throws out his hand dramatically to stop her from saying anything more that might expose his ignorance. Wait, don't say anything. You better not say anything. I'm recalling it now, he bluffs desperately. The subordinate looks confused and taken aback by his sudden outburst, muttering, that. While pretending to be deep in thought, Su Liang secretly uses his cheat, the lunar book, to search for information. He quickly types Black Moon Order into its search function. The book provides the answer instantly. The Black Moon Order was a rival faction destroyed by his dual moon order 3 years ago during a full moon. Having secretly read the briefing, Su Liang turns back with a calm, all-knowing smile. He holds up his book as if it were a prop and confidently says, All right, I've recalled. He sweats nervously, realizing the truth. It wasn't that he had forgotten. It was that the original Lunar King considered the Black Moon Order so weak and insignificant that he couldn't be bothered to even remember them. The subordinate clarifies that the Black Moon Order itself is not a cause for concern. But, she continues, if the Lunar God Palace is also involved in this, then the nature of the matter will change. The name Lunar God Palace catches Su Liang's attention, and his expression turns serious. He recalls that unlike other factions, the Lunar God Palace is the true overlord of the central continent, having ruled for thousands of years with legendary beasts. However, this thousand-year dominance has recently been shaken. The upstart Dual Moon Order, his own faction, has challenged their position in just 3 short years. The subordinate explains their dilemma. The 4 moons intend to take action, but if they do, no one will be left to protect him. Thus, she has been sent to ask for his opinion on the matter. Su Liang's face is unreadable, his eyes hidden by shadow as he processes the heavy responsibility that has just been dropped on him. Putting on a display of utter confidence, he dismisses her worries with a wave of his hand. Go ahead, he says coolly, it doesn't matter to me. He leans back in his chair and delivers the final, dramatic line, as long as I am under the moonlight. His subordinate looks on, utterly shocked and mesmerized. Yes, my lord, she exclaims, her face lit up with pure adoration and excitement. She can't believe she had the chance to personally hear that famous, legendary quote from her king. In her mind, the image of the Lunar King is one of absolute power. As long as he is favored by the lunar butterfly, no one in the world can touch him. He is the most dazzling moonlight. Having received her orders, the subordinate vanishes in a flash of light, leaving Su Liang alone in his room once more. The second she's gone, Su Liang's cool facade completely shatters. Yua, I can't take it anymore. So cringy, he screams, grabbing his head in agony. I barely stopped my hand from slapping myself. Su Liang reflects that the original owner of his body would often say cringy lines for no reason at all, and every time, his believers would misinterpret the meaningless nonsense as profound wisdom. For example, he'd stand before a crowd and simply declare, "The moon favors me." Other examples of his so-called wisdom included looking thoughtfully into the distance and saying, "I can feel the presence of the lunar god." Or he would strike a pose with his arms wide open and begin the phrase, "As long as I am under the moonlight." Sometimes he'd make a dramatic pose covering half his face and ominously declare, "The moon will rise," followed by the equally profound statement, "The moon will fall." He would even say things as mundane as, "The moon is really round," and "The moon is really bright," all of which his followers treated as sacred words. Su Liang slumps back into reality, overwhelmed. And now, the Lunar God Palace. I only just transmigrated here and there's already so many troublesome things, he laments. He looks up, a thought occurring to him. Although for the Lunar King, the Lunar God Palace is no longer a worry. It's only if he had the lunar butterfly, but Su Liang doesn't. He panics, realizing, I acted cool for the fun of it just now, but now, I don't have bodyguards anymore. The grim reality sets in. If I run into danger, he thinks with a face of despair, the world's strongest Lunar King is going to die pitifully. But just as he's about to give up hope, a sudden realization hits him. Wait a minute. He remembers his other cheat. I still have the cheat that allows me to roll for rewards. He figures that after making contact with so many beasts in the Moon Pavilion, he should have enough energy to draw once. A system interface appears before him, the begin exchange button glowing, ready to be pressed. His despair instantly turns into excitement. Yes, I can draw now, he exclaims, his face lit up with renewed hope. The system screen explains the gacha system. It gives him a chance to draw moonlight-type beasts of any quality. If he's not satisfied, he can return the beast for a compensation of beast strength value. Su Liang understands the mechanics. So that means if I don't like the beast I get, I can cancel the contract and get some experience points. That's pretty good. Let's not think about these things first, he decides, his expression turning serious. The most important thing now is to secure my life. If I somehow manage to get a supreme rank beast, then there's nothing to fear anymore. He begins to pray fervently. All the metaphysical gods, please. It's not easy for an ordinary boy to survive. Please save this child. Filled with determination and hope, he points at the book and declares, Supreme Beast, here I come. He presses his finger onto the glowing exchange button, initiating the gacha pull. A brilliant golden light erupts from the lunar book, blasting outwards with immense energy. Su Liang shields his eyes from the blinding light, unable to see what's happening. The pages of the lunar book flip open rapidly, as a new entry is magically drawn onto a blank page. A system notification pops up. A new beast has been unlocked, and the number of illuminated illustrations have increased. Su Liang looks on, half covering his face, full of anticipation. The beast that you've received is, the notification hangs, as Su Liang's wide, hopeful eyes stare at the result, waiting for the reveal. A system notification announces that a new beast has been unlocked, and the lunar book glows on the floor as the summoning completes. The result of the gacha is revealed, a translucent moonshadow. It's a high-rank, moonlight-type beast with 2 battle skills, Moon Scale and Conceal. Su Liang analyzes the result. It's a support-type high-rank beast with 2 battle skills that are pretty hard to get. Looks like my luck is pretty good, he thinks to himself, somewhat surprised. He admits that if he were a normal beast tamer, getting such a rare high-rank beast would have felt like a miracle. But, to Su Liang, the person currently posing as the leader of the Dual Moon Order and the invincible Lunar King, a mere translucent moonshadow can't change anything at all. His hopeful expression fades into one of disappointment. He knows that the crisis he is currently facing can't be solved by the strength of a simple high-rank beast. Without a moment's hesitation, he cancels the contract. The translucent moonshadow dissolves into particles of light as the system announces it has been returned, and beast strength value will be given as compensation. A surge of blue energy flows from the dissolving beast and into Su Liang. His status screen appears, showing his EXP bar filling up significantly, pushing him from a 1-star tamer towards the 2-star rank. He looks at his glowing book and notes, wow, it's quite generous with the compensation. I'm going to become a 2-star beast tamer soon. But even so, I'm not happy at all, he sighs, watching the last wisps of energy dissipate. He may have leveled up, but he's still defenseless. He takes off his cloak and reflects on the original owner's foolishness. The former Lunar King had many chances to sign contracts with supreme beasts in the Dual Moon Order, but because he thought he had the mythical lunar butterfly, he completely ignored the rest. He flops down on his bed, lamenting, how did you fall into this situation all of a sudden? Then a thought strikes him with the force of a lightning bolt. Wait a minute. He sits up, realizing his mistake. Even if a high-rank beast can't solve the root of the issue, it's still better than the flicker butterfly that has no fighting power. If he really gets into trouble, the high-rank beast could at least handle the situation. He stares at his empty hands in horror, screaming at his own foolishness. Why did I immediately return it? A chilling possibility enters his mind. Don't tell me my personality is being influenced by the original owner. He pictures the arrogant face of the former king. No way, he shouts, shaking his head furiously. There's still a difference. At least I'm not blindly believing that the lunar butterfly is real. With a long sigh, Su Liang collapses onto his bed, completely drained. He makes a new resolution. Next time I get a high-rank beast, I'll make sure to sign a contract with it. Lying on his back, he starts making plans. I'll head to the Moon Pavilion again tomorrow to farm some experience points. There's still a lot of beasts that I haven't collected. Then his thoughts turn to a much grander prize. And that white flower deer, no, it should be Moon Chaser. If I bring some nice treats for her, I wonder if I can lure her away. He muses, a mischievous glint in his eyes as he hatches a new plan. At that very moment elsewhere, the Moon Chaser's eyes snap open in shock. What? She exclaims, sensing something is wrong. She looks around her now empty enclosure in a panic. What's going on? Where are my things? Why did they get demolished? All her personal comforts and treasures are gone. A female caretaker appears, calling out to the confused deer. Aya, sweetie, you're awake. The Moon Chaser turns, still bewildered. The caretaker gently brushes the Moon Chaser's coat, trying to soothe her. Sweetie, when you arrive at the Lunar God Palace, you will live a better life than here, she explains. With a sad smile, the caretaker says her goodbyes. Messengers of the Lunar God Palace will come to pick you up soon. Don't be naughty in the future and listen to your new caretaker. The reality of the situation hits the moon chaser like a ton of bricks. What? She thinks, her eyes wide with shock and betrayal. I was sold to the Lunar God Palace. The scene shifts to the academy entrance, where two mysterious figures in white cloaks have arrived. The students whisper in awe, recognizing them as beast tamers from the central continent's dominant force, and wondering if their arrival has something to do with the Lunar King. The two messengers reveal themselves. The one with reddish-brown hair looks around with disdain. HMPH, I heard the Lunar King was training here and thought this was some sort of treasure land. But turns out there's only a bunch of kids here. How hilarious, she scoffs. Her blue-haired companion calmly cautions her. Little sister, don't make trouble. We only came for the white flower deer this time. You must never go overboard, especially when it comes to the Lunar King and the Dual Moon Order. The red-haired messenger huffs but concedes. HMPH, I know. I don't want to cause problems either. We only need to take the white flower deer, right? She says, glancing towards their destination. The chapter concludes with a final, ominous shot. A mysterious man with green hair and glasses watches from afar with a smug, knowing smile, hinting that he is the mastermind behind the moon chaser's sudden transfer. A woman with green hair and glasses, named Qinghe, stands at a doorway, welcoming two guests. She introduces herself as the owner of the Moon Pavilion. Two mysterious figures in white hoods and masks stand before her. The one with purple hair speaks cryptically. The moon will not fall as the night is eternal. Qinghe smiles to herself, thinking that these messengers from the Lunar God Palace still have their typical arrogant attitude, even though their era of dominance is long over. Trying to be a gracious host, Qinghe suggests they go see the white flower deer. However, one of the messengers dismisses the idea, stating they've already seen its appearance online. Dropping all pretense, the lead messenger with purple hair gets straight to the point. She demands that Qinghe bring the deer to them immediately, offering to pay 10 times the asking price. Qinghe is visibly taken aback, her eyes widening in shock at the sudden and incredibly high offer of 10 times the price. Qinghe quickly analyzes the situation. The white flower deer is nearly extinct, making it as valuable as a high-rank beast. Seeing their desperation, she realizes this is a golden opportunity to make a huge profit. She pushes back, explaining that this isn't just any beast. It's a direct descendant of the one owned by the pavilion's founder, which is why it receives the luxury treatment of a supreme-rank beast. Qinghe thinks to herself, considering the vast resources her pavilion has poured into caring for the deer over many years. She concludes that even 10 times the price isn't enough to cover their investment. The younger, pink-haired messenger lets out a dismissive scoff, clearly unimpressed by Qinghe's explanation. She laughs mockingly, questioning the value of a mid-rank beast, regardless of its ancestry, and scoffing at the idea of a shabby place providing luxury treatment. Her superior sharply cuts her off, yelling, "Be quiet." Startled by the sharp rebuke, the pink-haired messenger flinches and looks at her leader in fear, questioning, "Big sister." The lead messenger, the big sister, ignores her subordinate's outburst. With a cold and determined gaze, she raises the stakes even higher, asking, 20 times, is that enough? The new offer sends a shockwave through the room. The younger messenger is horrified, and even the usually composed Qinghe is utterly stunned by the outrageous amount. The younger messenger turns to her big sister in protest, exclaiming that 20 times the price is an outrageous sum and far beyond the budget they were given. The lead messenger reveals why she's so desperate. She explains that her own beast, Moon's Voice, is an extremely rare high-rank species with the special ability to predict and avoid danger. She continues, revealing that Moon's Voice has been in a state of extreme mania recently, which is a sure sign that something terrible is about to happen. Realizing the grave danger they might be in, she decides it's better to pay the doubled price and leave with the white flower deer as quickly as possible, especially since they are not in their own territory. Just as she makes her decision, she freezes. Her eyes widen in alarm as her danger-sensing ability is suddenly triggered by an unseen threat. A shot of the back of a mysterious hooded figure appears, emanating an aura of immense power. The lead messenger trembles, sweat beading on her face as she's overwhelmed by a terrifying pressure that feels like it could crush a person. Her eyes dart around in panic as the immense, crushing pressure bears down on her, confirming her worst fears. Her eyes widen in absolute terror. Her premonition was right. She realizes someone is here, a being of unimaginable power. The source of the terrifying pressure is revealed. A young man with silver hair and a commanding presence appears, and the messengers immediately recognize him, the Lunar King. A wide shot shows the Lunar King standing opposite the two messengers from the Lunar God Palace. The vast space between them, along with the crowd gathered behind him, highlights the immense power gap and his superior authority. The lead messenger's legs tremble uncontrollably. Her eyes are wide with panic as she wonders what they should do in the face of such overwhelming power. Both messengers are drenched in a cold sweat, completely terrified and paralyzed by the oppressive aura radiating from the Lunar King. The lead messenger realizes with horror that her younger sister's sanity has been completely suppressed by the Lunar King's presence. She desperately tries to call out to her, asking if she can hear her. The younger messenger stares blankly, her eyes glowing with a mesmerized red light. Panicked, her older sister screams at her to lower her head quickly and not look directly into the Lunar King's eyes. The lead messenger shakes her sister, desperately trying to snap her out of the trance, yelling, "Little sister, get a hold of yourself." Despite her sister's frantic warnings to lower her head and not look, the younger messenger is completely captivated, her wide, glowing eyes fixed on the Lunar King. Finally breaking free from the stupor, the younger messenger pants heavily, leaning on her sister for support, her face flushed. Instead of being terrified, the younger messenger seems dazed and infatuated, dreamily telling her sister that she just saw the Lunar King's eyes. The Lunar King continues to stare down at them, his shadow looming over them. The lead messenger is terrified, while the younger one still seems lost in a daze from looking at him. A close-up of the Lunar King's eye reveals an intimidating, cold gaze that seems to pierce right through them. The sheer pressure from the Lunar King's presence becomes too much to bear, forcing both messengers to their knees. As the Lunar King, Su Liang, stands over the kneeling messengers, his aura is so immense and overpowering that it feels like the very air is rumbling. The lead messenger trembles, thinking to herself that his indifferent attitude and world-disregarding dominance make it impossible for her to even lift her head. She's utterly convinced that this isn't just a man standing before them. His aura is so powerful that it's like a real god is dwelling inside his body. However, inside his head, Su Liang is just a confused boy. He wonders why two people from the enemy lunar god palace are here. Because of the opposition between their factions, he knows he can't be the one to speak first. His silence is misinterpreted by the messengers. They're terrified, thinking that the only reason he's staring is because he's in a bad mood and is about to kill them on a whim. Meanwhile, Su Liang is screaming internally for someone, anyone, to come and say something to break the awkward and painful silence. Just as the tension reaches its peak, Qing He, the pavilion owner, dramatically rushes forward, shouting "Lunar King," and shattering the silence. She approaches Su Liang with a fawning expression, reintroducing herself and declaring it the greatest honor to see him in person. Su Liang remains silent, maintaining his stoic facade. Seizing the moment, Qing He proudly declares that she joined the Dual Moon Order 3 months ago, revealing a tattoo on her arm as proof. Internally, Su Liang breathes a sigh of relief that someone finally broke the tension. Qing He quickly explains the situation, informing the Lunar King that the kneeling women are messengers from the Lunar God Palace who are here to buy the white flower deer he saw the previous day. She adds that the deer's appearance is so perfect that even the rival Lunar God Palace couldn't resist trying to buy it at a sky-high price. This information makes Su Liang's eyes widen slightly in realization. Suddenly, it all clicks into place for Su Liang. The white flower deer they're talking about is none other than the Moon Chaser, the magnificent beast he had encountered before. He now understands. The reason for the supposedly luxurious treatment wasn't just because of some ancient bloodline as Qing He had claimed. Looking at the beautiful Moon Chaser, Su Liang smirks to himself, feeling a sense of satisfaction that he is the only one who knows this beast's real identity as a supreme-rank creature. With a dismissive wave of his hand, Su Liang turns his back on the deal and the messengers, leaving Qing He to watch the scene unfold. The lead messenger lets out a breath she didn't realize she was holding, thinking to herself, he finally left. Are we spared? But Su Liang stops and speaks without turning around, his voice cold and final. Go back, this is not a place for people like you. As he walks away, he delivers a cryptic and ominous parting shot. The moon is about to fall. Qing He is initially confused by his strange proclamation, wondering to herself, it's broad daylight, where's the moon? But then the true meaning of his words dawns on her, and her face fills with shock and understanding. The messengers are equally stunned, processing his words. Wait, what did he just say? One asks. The other repeats in horror, the moon is about to fall. The crowd of onlookers understands the gravity of the situation. If an ordinary person had said that, it would have been a meaningless utterance. But the person who said this was no ordinary man. It was the world's strongest being, the Lunar King himself. A proclamation from him was as good as prophecy. The lead messenger immediately understands the terrifying implication. the moon is the symbol of their lunar god palace. This statement wasn't a prophecy, it was a declaration of war, portending an unprecedented disaster. Still kneeling, the younger messenger tries to defiantly retort with their faction's slogan, stammering, "The moon will not fall," But the words die in her throat, her terror too great to even finish the sentence. A nearby student is aghast at her foolish bravery, thinking, holy shit, she actually dared to talk back to the Lunar King. The younger messenger instantly realizes her grave mistake, her eyes widening in pure terror. Su Liang stops. He doesn't turn around fully, but gives a silent, chilling side-eye glance that freezes her to the core. The younger messenger trembles violently under his gaze, clutching her chest as waves of fear wash over her. Without another word, Su Liang walks away, leaving her to collapse onto the floor from the sheer force of his silent intimidation. The lead messenger rushes to her younger sister's side, calling out her name in concern. She tells her sobbing sister to forget about the white flower deer, realizing that this matter has escalated far beyond their control. The lead messenger pulls her sister to her feet, determined. They must return to the lunar god palace at once and report the Lunar King's words directly to the princess. As they hurry away, the lead messenger is filled with a sense of dread. She knows that a great calamity is about to descend upon her home. Qinghe watches them flee, a smug smirk on her face. She mockingly repeats their proud motto, "The moon will not fall as the night is eternal, my ass." Qinghe watches Su Liang's retreating figure with a satisfied smirk. To her, the dull moon of the lunar god palace was already fading, and its time to fall was long overdue. She gazes at his stoic profile, utterly convinced of his power. In her eyes, the true moon slumbers eternally within Su Liang, the one and only Lunar King. Once out of sight, Su Liang finally lets his facade drop, clutching his chest in relief. Phew, that was close, he thinks, grateful that the younger messenger's stutter gave him an opening to escape the conversation. Still, he worries, sweating slightly. After saying all those grandiose and threatening things, he wonders if his bluff was convincing enough, or if they saw through his act. As he walks away, he consoles himself. After the intense confrontation, he's fairly certain the lunar god palace won't be coming back for the white flower deer anytime soon. Suddenly, a commotion is heard from another room. Staff members are carrying out boxes while panicked deer noises echo, translated as "no, don't." The source of the noise is the white flower deer herself, who is frantically pulling on a caretaker's shirt, crying out, "Don't take away my things." The staff are confused, noting that she's usually very obedient. One of the caretakers comes to a heartwarming, but completely incorrect conclusion. The deer must be acting out because she doesn't want to leave her beloved caretaker. She pulls the deer into a tight hug, promising to visit often. The deer, however, is panicking internally, desperately thinking, "Please don't." Ignoring the deer's struggles, the caretaker continues to soothe her while trying to pack up her bedding. As she lifts the covers, the caretaker suddenly stops, confused by what she sees hidden underneath. Revealed is the deer's secret stash. Snacks, a small mirror, a pink smartphone, and a romance novel titled The Domineering Beast Emperor Loves Me. The caretaker is completely baffled, her mind struggling to process the scene as she wonders aloud, do beasts like these kinds of stuff? She picks up the pink smartphone, examining the unfamiliar object with curiosity. The deer watches in horror as the caretaker holds her phone, panicking that her secret stash has been discovered. The caretaker unwittingly unlocks the phone, revealing the deer's web browser. In a moment of pure dread, the deer realizes, "No, my search history is going to get exposed." A steely look of determination appears in the deer's eyes. In order to protect her embarrassing search history, she declares to herself, "I'd rather become a demon," and launches herself at the unsuspecting caretaker. The caretaker yelps in surprise as the deer collides with her, sending the precious pink phone flying into the air. The phone tumbles through the air in slow motion, its secrets momentarily suspended for all to see. But before it can hit the ground, a hand smoothly plucks it from the air. The deer looks on in stunned silence. Her eyes widen in absolute horror as she recognizes the person who caught her phone. The Lunar King, Su Liang, had been drawn over by the noise. The deer lets out a silent, internal scream of despair. Of all the people who could have found out, why did it have to be him? Su Liang looks down at the phone he just caught, his expression a mixture of confusion and curiosity. As he reads the screen, his stoic facade breaks, and he lets out a small, stifled laugh. PFT. While the deer hides behind her bed in absolute shame, and the caretakers watch in confusion, Su Liang tries his best to contain his amusement. With the deer hiding in shame and the staff frozen in confusion, Su Liang struggles to suppress a laugh as he looks down at the phone that started the whole mess. Still amused, Su Liang playfully considers quoting the novel back at the deer, thinking, should I also say, woman, you have succeeded in catching my interest. He looks down at the chaotic scene, the deer hiding in shame, and the caretaker she knocked over still lying unconscious on the bed. The other staff members just stand there, stunned. The moon chaser peeks out from her hiding spot, her face flushed with extreme embarrassment, unable to face anyone. Su Liang takes a moment to compose himself, putting his stoic Lunar King mask back on after his brief moment of amusement. He addresses the staff, casually tossing the pink phone back. The trade with the Lunar God Palace has been called off. All of you should leave now. Then, with a grand gesture, he makes a stunning announcement. Later in the evening, the Dual Moon Order will send someone over to negotiate the purchase of the Moon Pavilion. The staff are completely shocked by this sudden declaration, exclaiming, what, purchase of the Moon Pavilion? Su Liang smirks. This was his plan all along. By acquiring the Moon Pavilion, he can use it as a cover to gather a large number of Moonlight-type beasts for his collection. He glances at the valuable Moon Chaser. He hadn't expected to almost lose such a rare supreme-rank beast. To be on the safe side, he decides it's time for a tactical retreat. Having made his decision and set his plan in motion, he turns to leave, disappearing through the doors with a decisive sound effect. The remaining staff members just stare after him, completely bewildered by the whirlwind of events that just transpired. The staff immediately begin to gossip, amazed that the Lunar King canceled the trade and announced his intent to buy the whole pavilion. They are excited by the prospect of being backed by the powerful Dual Moon Order. However, the main caretaker is stuck on one detail. She wonders what was on that phone that could make the famously stoic Lunar King crack a smile. With a mischievous glint in her eye, she decides to find out for herself and lunges to snatch the phone back from the deer. The Moon Chaser, having just gotten her precious phone back, is horrified and quickly dodges out of the way. As the deer bolts, the caretaker yells after her, don't run around. The deer is not taking any more chances. The caretaker is left standing there, utterly confused by the deer's strange behavior, wondering if she's hit her rebellious phase. The Moon Chaser sprints down the hallway, leaving a cloud of dust behind her. She's not running away, she's on a mission. That Lunar King, she thinks. Her eyes narrow with grim determination. The absolute worst has happened. Not only did he see through my real identity, he also saw my search history. She spots Su Liang walking away and picks up speed. She knows she absolutely cannot let him leave the pavilion with that knowledge. Her face is flushed with a mixture of shame and determination. For her, the stakes are ultimate. If he reveals her secret, she won't be able to live on this planet anymore. With a desperate cry, she shouts, "Stop!" Her voice, clearly that of a young woman, brings Su Liang to a halt. She squares up against him, taking an aggressive stance and points an accusatory hoof at him. "Lunar King, you've seen everything, haven't you?" Su Liang realizes, this voice, so it was really a girl. Everything clicks into place. No wonder she was reading those types of novels. Puffing out her chest to look as intimidating as possible, the Moon Chaser delivers her ultimate threat. "If you dare to reveal my secret, I will never let you go." A long, awkward silence hangs in the air between them as the Moon Chaser waits for his reaction to her threat. She looks on hopefully, wondering to herself, did I succeed? Is he scared now? Su Liang, however, gives her a smug, pitying look and says, "My condolences. Sometimes, having your dark past revealed is just a way to say goodbye to your past self." The comment is so patronizing and hits so hard that the Moon Chaser literally coughs up blood from sheer embarrassment, ending the confrontation on a hilarious note. Su Liang playfully teases the white flower deer, a mystical creature with large, expressive purple eyes and crystalline antlers, saying she has caught his interest. The deer, flustered and blushing, screams at him to shut up. The white flower deer, still agitated, warns Su Liang not to be unafraid just because he's the Lunar King. She threatens him, telling him never to tell anyone about her identity or the cheesy lines he just used. Her threats escalate dramatically. She vows to sprint out of the Moon Pavilion, run to his house, and trample him into a bloody mess. Su Liang, however, looks on, completely unfazed by her outburst. A thought suddenly strikes Su Liang. He recalls a crucial piece of information. If you say the true name of a beast within a certain range, they will instantly notice. He realizes this must be the unique sixth sense ability of a supreme-rank beast. A sly, knowing look crosses his face as he understands the power he now holds. The white flower deer watches him, a bead of sweat running down her face. She seems to sense that he has figured something out, and her confident anger gives way to nervousness. Putting his theory to the test, Su Liang lays a trap with his words. He asks her, "So, in other words, as long as I call out your name when you're nearby, you'll immediately come to my side, right?" Caught off guard by the direct question and bound by her nature, the white flower deer instinctively shouts back, "Of course." A moment later, the reality of her admission hits her. She freezes, her expression turning to one of pure shock and regret as she realizes she's fallen right into his trap. Seeing his victory, Su Liang calmly states, "Then it's settled." With a charming but threatening smile, Su Liang tells her that if he calls and she doesn't appear, he'll tell everyone her secret. The mortified white flower deer can only stammer out a reluctant agreement. Su Liang gives a quiet, satisfied smile, pleased with how easily he was able to coerce the supreme rank beast. His goal achieved, he turns to leave, casually waving goodbye. "You better remember, Tilda, I'll go now," he says, leaving the deer to stew in her embarrassment. Just as he's about to walk away, the white flower deer calls out to him. Surprised, Su Liang stops and turns around to see what she wants. Her demeanor has changed. She looks at him seriously and offers a cryptic piece of advice: "Be careful of the full moon." Su Liang takes in her warning. His playful attitude fades for a moment as he considers her words, and he simply replies, "Okay." With their business concluded, Su Liang turns and continues on his way, leaving the pavilion behind. Left alone, the white flower deer is dizzy with confusion and embarrassment from the whole exchange, her head spinning. As she replays the conversation in her mind, a new thought horrifies her. She realizes Su Liang's words, "As long as I call out your name, you'll immediately come to my side," sound very much like a different kind of confession. She panics thinking, wasn't that sentence very much like a different kind of confession? Watching his silhouette recede into the distance, her mind romanticizes the entire event, comparing it to an encounter with the male lead in a novel. Meanwhile, having left the pavilion, Su Liang stops outside, a thought dawning on him. He stands in stunned silence, the reality of what just happened hitting him. He can't believe he actually managed to coerce a supreme rank beast. He becomes flustered himself, realizing his words came out sounding far more intense than he intended. He thinks, "I just wanted to tease her because she looked so funny, but those words unintentionally came out like that." Su Liang then tries to rationalize the situation. He recalls that according to the world's setting, once a beast tamer and a beast sign a contract, they accompany each other until death. From that perspective, he muses, calling it a confession isn't entirely wrong. Besides, he reasons, if she had been truly angry, he would probably be dead by now. Su Liang smiles to himself, thinking that the deer's over-the-top reaction simply means she really doesn't want her embarrassing secrets exposed. He finds it surprisingly cute. His thoughts then shift back to her warning. He becomes serious, wondering what she could have meant by telling him to be careful of the full moon. He finds it particularly odd. After all, why would someone give a warning about the moon to him, the lunar king of all people? He holds up his book, the Moon Tome, and speculates, is something going to happen on the full moon that's coming in 3 days? He considers his current situation. He's alone and without any bodyguards. If he were to run into real danger, he'd be vulnerable. Looking at the Moon Tome, he decides it would be best to strengthen his lineup of beasts, just in case her warning proves to be serious. The scene shifts dramatically to the lunar god palace, a grand hall where several silhouetted figures are gathered around a massive table shaped like the full moon. These are the 10 pillar princesses, the 10 most powerful beast tamers in the lunar god palace. Though their identities are unknown, they are all said to be women of extreme beauty. 2 robed attendants kneel, discussing a dire prophecy. The moon is about to fall. One of them asks nervously if the lunar king truly said those words. The other attendant confirms it without a doubt, exclaiming, "Yes, word for word." From her throne, a woman with elaborate blue hair is introduced as the 4th princess. She coolly states that the lunar king's words have reminded her of something. She makes a bizarrely off-topic remark, casually reminding the attendants that the time of the full moon is different this season, so they shouldn't forget to adjust their watches. Her flippant comment enrages the other silhouetted figures. They shout at her, calling her a piece of trash and questioning what she's even saying at a time like this. One of the hooded figures, a member of the Black Moon Believers, speaks up. They reason that it's impossible for someone like the Lunar King to interact with low-ranked beasts, so his appearance at the Moon Pavilion must mean he was attracted by something far more powerful. The figure comes to a terrifying conclusion, shouting that the only thing that could have drawn his attention is a monarch-ranked beast, shocking the other believers. Another believer expresses their disbelief and fear, questioning the implications. If the Lunar King can truly control a monarch-ranked creature, then their situation is dire. The first believer explains the legend. This means the god slumbering within the Lunar King is about to awaken. Once it does, the Moon God Palace will no longer have the ability to resist his power. An imposing image depicts this very fear. A colossal, Cthulhu-like entity, the slumbering god, looms ominously behind the completely unaware Su Liang. Panicked by this revelation, the Black Moon believers turn their attention to the only one who seems calm, calling out, "Fourth Princess." Facing her, they desperately ask if she is finally willing to cooperate with them against this overwhelming threat. The Fourth Princess scoffs at them. She asks the Black Moon believers if they truly think they have a chance of winning, especially if the Lunar King has already signed a contract with a monocrank beast. Her words leave them speechless. The believers have no answer, left in stunned silence as the Fourth Princess stares coolly at a blank data screen. She continues to taunt their silence, asking, "Oi, where did all of you go? You're all scared now." Suddenly, a new, mysterious voice cuts in, addressing the Fourth Princess directly. "Let me speak with her." The princess looks intrigued as she's told not to worry. The mysterious figure, hidden in the shadows of a dark hood, gives a confident, menacing smile. He declares, "In this world, the Lunar King is not the only one who is favored by the moonlight," hinting that other powerful factions are now making their move. The scene changes, explaining the source of the public's fear. Recently, after the new Lunar King purchased the Moon Pavilion, he sent followers to search for moonlight beasts and transport them to the Academy of Beasts. This aggressive acquisition of beasts has plunged the entire northern region into a state of panic, with all local forces gripped by fear and restlessness. Among the public, wild rumors are spreading. Some people, including students at the Academy, believe the Lunar King is consuming these lesser beasts to replenish his energy and become more powerful. There are even more terrifying rumors, suggesting that his actions are a sign that the ancient, powerful spirit that lives inside the Lunar King is about to awaken. Because of all these terrifying speculations, the entire northern region has become turbulent, and everyone is living in a constant state of panic. However, the story cuts to Su Liang, the Lunar King at the center of this storm, whose room is currently glowing with a bright, magical light. In stark contrast to the fearsome rumors, Su Liang is just in his room playing his beast gacha game. He gets a notification that new pet beasts have been unlocked, and he pulls two low-ranking cards: a lunar elemental and a lunar spirit sparrow. He continues his pulls, getting two new middle-ranking beasts, a comical pig character called Where the Moon and a crescent moon leopard. Finally, his luck turns. On his fifth pull, he receives a new shining gold card for a high-ranking beast, Moon in the Lake. Dressed in simple clothes, Su Liang scratches his head, complaining about his luck. He recalls getting a high-level pet in a single draw before, but this time it took 5 whole draws to get just one. He thinks to himself that even with the help of the Twin Moon Pavilion, it still takes 2 to 3 days to save up enough points for 5 consecutive draws. He dismisses his earlier pulls, thinking that the low and mid-ranked pets can't be contracted, making them useless for anything other than collecting and exchanging for pet points. His attention then turns to the single high-ranking card he managed to pull, wondering what to do with it. Looking at the card, he's skeptical. Even though he said he'd sign a contract with a high-ranking one, Moon in the Lake sounds like a support-type beast, which he feels won't be much help. He also notes that the name is completely unfamiliar. Deciding it must be a very obscure beast, he pulls out his phone to search for information about it. He types Moon in the Lake into the search bar, but the results come up empty. The screen reads, "Sorry, nothing related to Moon in the Lake was found." Su Liang is completely shocked. He wonders how it's possible that there's a pet beast that can't be found in the modern beast encyclopedia. Then he has a realization. Since he has unlocked the beast in his system, he should be able to look it up in his own personal Moon Book catalog. He eagerly opens his Moon Tome, the pages flipping rapidly as he searches for the entry. His eyes widen as he quickly lands on the correct page. "Found it," he exclaims. The entry reveals the beast's true nature. Moon in the Lake is a high-ranking lunar beast that appeared 13,000 years ago as a mutated pet. It became extinct due to its inability to reproduce. Its main battle skill, sinking, allows it to absorb all shocks and fluctuations. Su Liang trembles as he reads the details, his mind stuck on one unbelievable fact: 13,000 years. He shouts in astonishment, realizing this beast is even older than the entire history of the Moon God's palace. This isn't just a high-ranking beast, it's an ancestral one. Freaking out in his chair, he finally understands why he couldn't find any information online. It's because Moon in the Lake isn't a creature of this era at all. He clutches his head in disbelief, the phrase echoing in his mind. A beast that's not a creature of this era is something he never thought possible. His long-held beliefs about the world of beasts shatter. The discovery of a creature completely lost to modern history opens up a universe of new possibilities. A brilliant idea forms in his mind. He reflects that the main reason he avoided contracting a high-ranking beast was the fear of being recognized, as it doesn't fit his hidden identity. But what if it's a beast that nobody knows about? He looks at the image of Moon in the lake in the tome. Since its existence has been lost to time, it's the perfect companion. No one will ever be able to uncover its true, ancient identity. What's more, its defensive ability to ward off unexpected threats, while not a direct fighting skill, is exactly what he needs for his currently vulnerable situation. Having made up his mind, Su Liang decides to form the contract. The card for Moon in the lake appears before him, ready to be activated. With his arms outstretched, Su Liang calls out to the ancient spirit. A system notification confirms it instantly. Moon in the lake contract signed. The moment the contract is formed, his first and weakest beast, a tiny flash butterfly, flies out of the room in a panic. Su Liang calls for it to come back, surprised by its reaction. Inside Su Liang's consciousness, the flash butterfly flits about frantically, terrified by the new presence. Suddenly, a huge wave of spiritual water erupts from below, startling the tiny butterfly. The space transforms into a calm lake under a starry night sky. The flash butterfly hovers above the water, shivering in awe and fear of the immense power it senses. Su Liang opens his eyes, now fully aware of the new consciousness linked to his own. He finds himself standing within the mental domain created by his new beast, surrounded by its calm, watery energy. The spirit of Moon in the lake, a beautiful and serene giantess made of light and water, appears before him. He looks up in awe and asks, "Is this the Moon in the lake?" He feels a mysterious sense of ancient power from her, totally different from other high-ranking beasts. He accepts her fully, declaring, "It's now my second pet beast." With this new, secret power at his side, he feels a renewed sense of hope that it will help him navigate the dangers to come. He looks out his window at the sky, his thoughts turning back to the white flower deer's warning. After all, the night of the full moon is coming up soon. The scene shifts. It is now the night of the full moon. A lone figure stands on a rooftop, silhouetted against the massive, glowing orb in the sky. This is an undercover agent from the Black Moon sect. He wears tactical gear and sunglasses, looking very annoyed. "Damn it," he mutters. "I can't believe I was randomly assigned to patrol this area." He recalls his briefing from the Lunar Palace. He was told that the King of the Moon had appeared and was certain to make a move on the night of the full moon. The agent was terrified to learn the king was here. His superiors reminded him that he is one of the best agents in the Black Moon sect and has been a very successful mole in the academy, but he must be extremely careful this time. He could only agree, clenching his teeth in apprehension. Back in the present, the agent looks out at the academy with dread. This patrol area is the one closest to where the Lunar King is staying. He sweats, knowing that with a being of that caliber, if he senses even the slightest hint of hostility, he'll be dead. His terrified imagination conjures an image of a monstrous, beastly version of the Lunar King looming over him, ready to strike. At that same moment, a disturbance ripples through Su Liang's consciousness. His weakest beast, the flash butterfly, begins to float about nervously, sensing something in the air that fills it with panic. In his room, Su Liang is alerted by his flash butterfly's agitation. "It's strange," he thinks. "I've never seen him like this on a full moon night before." He then checks on his newest companion, but notes that the powerful moon in the lake is sleeping peacefully, completely unaffected by whatever is spooking the smaller beast. From his butterfly's reaction, Su Liang deduces the most likely cause. An extremely strong beast has appeared somewhere inside the academy, causing a panic among all the low-ranking pets. Seeing his butterfly still buzzing nervously at the door, Su Liang sighs. Okay, stop making a scene," he says, relenting. "I'll take you out to sea." His butterfly rests on his shoulder as he gets ready. He thinks to himself that while there is a curfew in the academy on the night of a full moon, that rule doesn't really matter to him. He grows more serious, reasoning that since the incident is happening inside the academy, the target must be related to him in some way. He moves to open the door and investigate. He also figures that in case of real danger, an empty, open space is a much better battlefield than an enclosed dormitory, and it will keep the other students out of harm's way. He clicks the door open. The moment he steps out, he finds the dormitory hallway in total chaos. Other students are running around frantically, calling for their own panicking beasts. One student yells at him, "Wait, you can't run out of the dormitory on the night of the full moon." Su Liang is taken aback by the pandemonium, looking around at the panicked students and their agitated beasts, wondering what's going on. His expression becomes grim as he puts the pieces together. Looks like Tanyan Zhuyu's prediction was right, he thinks, recalling the white flower deer's warning. It seems there is an unknown ferocious beast coming. But is it targeting me? Suddenly, a tremendous crash shakes the entire building. Something smashes through a nearby window as the students scream in pure terror. As other students run for cover, Su Liang stands his ground, calmly trying to assess the situation. What's going on with all this commotion? He wonders. Another deafening roar echoes from outside as a massive explosion of force blows a rooftop clean off, sending debris flying into the night sky. Watching the destruction from a window, Su Liang smirks. He realizes the attack is indiscriminate and chaotic. No, he thinks, I don't think this one is targeted at me. The scene cuts back to the Black Moon agent, who has been thrown to the ground by the force of the blast. He gasps for air, trying to push himself up from the rubble. As the dust begins to settle, a colossal shadow with long ears and glowing eyes looms over him. The agent stares in utter disbelief, thinking, "You have to be kidding me." He tries to make sense of what he's seeing. Heh, it clearly looks like a low-ranking lunar rabbit, he mutters to himself, but this overwhelming size and aura. The chapter ends with a full view of the terrifying creature. It is a gigantic, monstrous version of a lunar rabbit, with furious glowing eyes and an aura of immense power. The horrified agent can only stare up at it and think, what the hell is this thing? Under the full moon, a giant moonlight rabbit has gone berserk, letting out a furious roar that echoes through the village. Observing the chaos is an unnamed Twin Moon sect cadet, who scoffs at the beast's rampage, clicking his tongue in annoyance at the disturbance. The giant rabbit lets out a pained wail, its attention now focused on the unnamed Twin Moon sect cadet, who stands his ground amidst the rubble. The unnamed Twin Moon sect cadet's eye narrows. He's had enough of this creature's pointless destruction. He unleashes a powerful attack, a swift and decisive strike aimed directly at the rampaging beast. The attack lands with a massive explosion, sending a shockwave through the village as the unnamed Twin Moon sect cadet's power is displayed. Inside a nearby building, the thunderous roar from outside sends people and smaller beasts into a screaming panic. The commotion reaches Su Liang, who looks up, startled. He wonders what on earth is going on outside to cause such a loud roar. The building continues to tremble from the force of the battle raging outside. Frightened by the noise, a stampede of small, panicked beasts floods the hallways, desperately trying to flee. The chaotic stampede of terrified creatures rushes towards a closed elevator door, finding their escape route blocked. Just as the panic reaches its peak, a calming presence makes itself known, taking a deep breath before intervening. A single, authoritative command echoes through the hall, projected with a mystical power that cuts through the chaos. Instantly, all the rampaging little beasts freeze in their tracks, the panic subsiding as a powerful aura washes over them. A figure wonders what's happening in the middle of the night as the shadow of a great deer falls over the hallway. The magnificent white flower deer appears, its crystalline antlers glowing. With calm authority, it tells the little ones to go back to their beds. Obeying the command, the now calm beasts turn and quietly walk away, the stampede completely quelled. A female staff member watches in disbelief. The stampede stopped. She gently ushers the last of the little ones back to their nests. She remains puzzled, wondering how the rampaging beasts suddenly became so calm, especially since they are in the white flower deer's chamber. Meanwhile, the white flower deer squirms on its bed, blushing and fidgeting as it recalls a recent encounter. It buries its face in a pillow, completely flustered. What does he really mean? It wonders to itself. It remembers the deal made with Su Liang. He had threatened to reveal its secret if it didn't show up when called, leaving the deer in a state of shock. The deer's thoughts race. It realizes Su Liang is the Lunar King, equal to the great Kang Yue Emperor, and wonders why such a powerful being would need its help. A blush spreads across its face as a thrilling possibility takes root. But maybe, could it be, that his power hasn't actually reached its peak yet? The deer's logic clicks into place, arriving at a delightfully hopeful conclusion. So, he will need my strength to help him through a crisis, right? Lost in its romantic delusion, the white flower deer buries its face into the pillows, letting out a stream of flustered, happy gibberish. Its eyes sparkle with anticipation as it clings to the hopeful thought, tonight, is he really going to call out my name? Meanwhile outside, the battle continues to rage under the light of the full moon, with smoke and fire pluming from the site of destruction. The giant moonlight rabbit glares with malicious intent, having withstood the previous attack. It stands tall amidst the smoke and rubble, its powerful presence causing the very ground to shake. It lets out another defiant roar, undeterred by the battle. Ling Yu sweats, realizing the beast's power is far greater than he initially expected. Riding atop his fish-like spirit beasts, he determines the rabbit isn't a member of the Twin Moon sect, given the reckless way it destroyed the Academy's courtyard. He grows concerned, knowing that if the powerful Lunar King finds out about this commotion, he'll be in deep trouble. He tries to reassure himself, concluding that it must be a wild beast that simply went berserk under the full moon, nothing more than a false alarm. Deciding to take matters into his own hands, he confronts the rabbit, shouting, "Hey, do you not realize that this is the Lunar King's territory?" He continues his threat, warning the beast that if it alerts the Lunar King, it won't even know how it died. The rabbit takes a heavy step forward, ignoring the warning entirely. Ling Yuyu clicks his tongue in annoyance, advising the beast to back off before it's too late. But his warning comes too late, as the enraged rabbit lunges forward with a furious roar, intent on tearing him apart. The rabbit whips its body around, gathering momentum for a devastating strike. Frustrated, Ling Yuyu grits his teeth, having no choice but to engage. He commands his spirit beast, also named Ling Yuyu, to unleash a powerful counterattack. The attack hits its mark, creating a massive impact that engulfs the rabbit. The rabbit is thrown back, its body wreathed in smoke and energy from the powerful blow. As the smoke clears, Ling Yuyu's two spirit beasts float, their power evident. Crouching on his beast, Ling Yuyu praises his companion for the successful strike. "Well done, Ling Yuyu." He analyzes the situation, noting that despite the rabbit's terrifying power, it seems incredibly slow and lacks the intelligence of a high-ranking beast. He reasons that it can't be a supreme beast, otherwise it would have been impossible for his Ling Yuyu to block its attack so easily. Still, its raw power is undeniable. Interesting, he muses with a smirk, his confidence growing. Since the Lunar King has not been alerted, I'll take this opportunity to find out what you really are before finishing you off. Deciding to end this, Ling Yuyu raises his hand and unleashes his beast's full potential. "Ling Yuyu, the restrictions have been lifted. You have my permission to absorb the moonlight." Responding to his command, the two fish-like spirit beasts begin to glow and merge, absorbing the potent energy of the full moon. They transform into a single, colossal, and monstrous shark-like creature, its gaping maw ready to devour anything in its path. The immense power transfer causes Ling Yuyu to stagger in pain. He cries out, Ling Yuyu, stop absorbing." He falls to one knee, clutching his chest. He's reached his limit. He knows that besides the great Emperor of the Moon and the Lunar God Palace, no one can absorb moonlight endlessly without their bodies exploding. Still, a confident smirk spreads across his face. He knows the Lunar King operates beyond common sense, but he believes he is more than capable of dealing with the rabbit now. He stands before the giant rabbit and laughs. "Ever since I became a mentor, I haven't been able to fully unleash my powers." He raises a hand, energy crackling around him. "But I can now," he declares. "You're not the only one who can go berserk under a full moon." He unleashes his ultimate attack, commanding his transformed beast, Moon Devourer. The colossal beast lunges forward, its massive jaws wide open, seemingly swallowing the rabbit whole in a devastating strike. The impact shakes the academy grounds, kicking up a huge cloud of dust and debris over the rooftops. Elsewhere, the chaos has not gone unnoticed. An academy staff member shouts, "Everyone, hurry up this way to the shelter," as she guides students to safety. Two other staff members watch the destruction. One asks if a hostile force is attacking the academy, but her colleague finds it impossible. The Lunar King lives here, after all. She reasons some beast must have gone berserk from the moonlight. Her companion agrees it's possible, adding that moonlight-type beasts are extremely dangerous under a full moon, and some can even defeat a mentor. Suddenly, the pink-haired staff member is taken aback, spotting someone walking calmly toward the direction of the fight. She panics, reaching out to stop him. "Hold on, stop, student, don't wander around." She freezes, a wave of shock washing over her as she gets a proper look at the student. Her voice trembles as she recognizes the white-haired young man walking with an otherworldly calm. "Luna, Lunar King." Su Liang looks ahead with a sharp, determined gaze. "The moon is about to rise," he says, a small, mystical butterfly resting on his shoulder. He walks on, thinking to himself that despite the only beast he has that can handle a crisis being the moon in the lake, he feels confident. With his eyes closed, he savors the moment. "Somehow, there is a strange feeling of confidence in my heart, which is extremely strong, especially under the full moon." He recalls a phrase that perfectly describes the feeling, something the original owner of his body would say. With a confident smile, he looks up at the moon and thinks, "The moon's eyes are on me." Back at the fight, Ling Yuyu's massive beast descends through a cloud of smoke, returning to its master. Ling Yuyu stands, watching the aftermath. He's sure his merciless attack was the end of it. His confidence shatters as his beast cries out in agony. "Ling Yuyu," he shouts in disbelief. His pride is wounded. He thinks, how could I, who earned my place in the Black Moon, sect through the power of Ling Yuyu, be unable to defeat a beast that went berserk under the full moon? From the smoke, the giant rabbit emerges, seemingly unfazed. Sweat drips down his face as he stares in horror. You, bloody monster. The rabbit almost seems to be smirking, looking down on him with a smug expression as if to say, so scary, ah. Watching from a nearby doorway, a male student exclaims to his cat-eared friend, it's nowhere near the same level as a fight between cadets. He then scolds her, isn't that nonsense? Knowing it's scary, you still came here to see it. The cat-eared girl, Bai Yuer, grins cheekily. The dormitory roof was torn off. This kind of incident, of course, I want to see it with my own eyes. Her friend bonks her on the head for her recklessness. What's wrong with you? He scolds. Bai Yuer clutches the new bump on her head, but her expression turns serious as she stares at the creature. But this beast, she says, a thoughtful look on her face, why does it feel so familiar to me? Her friend puts a hand to his chin, analyzing the creature. It looks like a high-ranking great hammer-eared rabbit, no, but this size is really strange. Their conversation is cut short as a massive surge of power erupts from the battlefield, startling them both. The tables have turned completely. The rabbit has caught Ling Yuyu's beast and is struggling against it. With immense strength, the rabbit brutally smashes the transformed beast into the ground. Ling Yuyu cries out in panic. Ling Yuyu. Is the rate of recovery no longer able to fix the damage? Enraged, Ling Yuyu decides to go all out. How can a mere feral beast defeat my Ling Yuyu like that? I shall no longer be merciful. Ling Yuyu, use your battle technique, Moon Devourer. His beast opens its massive jaw, preparing to unleash the attack once more. The move Moon Devourer is said to tear targets apart with the immense, formless force of the beast's breath, causing severe pain and death. The rabbit stands its ground, looking up at the attack with a quizzical expression, seemingly unfazed by the impending doom. The rabbit's body begins to contort and pulsate with a strange energy. Ling Yuyu laughs maniacally. No one was ever able to block this attack. The Moon Devourer is unrivaled. Ha ha. His laughter catches in his throat as a powerful force suddenly erupts from the rabbit. The rabbit begins to inhale deeply, creating a powerful vortex that pulls in dust and energy. Ling Yuyu stares in shock. What's this? A battle technique. Before his eyes, the rabbit begins absorbing the moonlight itself, its body glowing with a menacing red aura as it powers up. Ling Yuyu grits his teeth, enraged. A wild beast with a battle technique. That's really irksome. In a stunning turn of events, the Moonlight Rabbit unleashes its own massive beam of energy, completely overpowering Ling Yuyu's attack. Ling Yuyu and his spirit beast are engulfed in the blinding light of the rabbit's counterattack. Watching from afar, Bai Yuer and the male student are stunned by the sheer power. Whoa. As the explosion barrels towards them, the male student grabs Bai Yuer to shield her. What are you doing? She asks, startled. He yells, shut up and stay put. In that moment of panic, Bai Yuer instinctively summons her own spirit beast, a beautiful, multi-tailed silver moon fox, which leaps in front of them to absorb the blast. The silver moon fox braces for impact, its large, fluffy tails wrapping around the students to protect them from the shockwave. The rabbit's energy attack creates a monumental explosion that shakes the very foundations of the academy. The rabbit lets out a final, triumphant roar as its power is unleashed. A massive mushroom cloud rises into the night sky, obliterating the battlefield in a flash of light. As the smoke begins to clear, the victor of the devastating exchange becomes clear. Ling Yuyu's monstrous spirit beast has been completely disintegrated, its form dissolving into nothingness. Ling Yuyu himself lies utterly defeated, trapped within the giant maw of the victorious Moonlight Rabbit. The rabbit now stands alone in the desolate, cratered landscape, its long ears drooping slightly as it surveys the destruction under the full moon. It looks down at the ground, letting out a series of small, inquisitive chirps. Nearby, Bai Yuer and her friend lie amongst the rubble, saved by their beasts. Her silver moon fox comforts her as the male student slowly comes to his senses. The male student breathes a sigh of relief. No wonder we survived, he says, looking at his own summoned beast. He had summoned his own powerful lunar beast, a fierce winged white tiger. He turns to Bai Yuer, surprised. So you also summoned your lunar beast. Now the giant rabbit faces off against the two students and their beasts. It lets out a series of low growls as the tiger snarls back, ready to defend its master. Bai Yuer panics, grabbing onto the tiger's leg. It's okay, please don't draw its attention, she pleads. But it's too late, the rabbit has spotted them. It looks down and lets out a tiny, almost delicate yelp. The students and their beasts freeze in absolute terror, huddling together as they think, it's over. Just as they brace for the end, the giant rabbit suddenly pauses, its aggressive aura completely vanishing. The students look on, completely bewildered, their fear momentarily forgotten. The little ghost-like images of their scared souls float around them. The male student voices their shared confusion, his face pale with shock. Why did it suddenly stop moving? He looks from the passive giant rabbit to Bai Yuer beside him, and a strange thought begins to form. Wait. A massive crater marks the spot of the explosion, a testament to the rabbit's incredible power. The rabbit stands tall, turning its attention from the student's back to its defeated foe. It spits out the battered body of Ling Yuyu, holding him upside down by his leg as he screams. The male student shouts in disbelief. That's the tutor from earlier. I can't believe he's still breathing. Ling Yuyu, dangling helplessly, manages a weak taunt. Hey you bitch, you're not even a high-ranking one, are you? However, do you think you can get away with this? His bravado fades into terror as he senses an approaching power. The Lunar King, that man is coming. At the mention of the Lunar King, the rabbit's expression hardens. It drops Ling Yuyu to the ground. It looms over the fallen mentor, raising its giant foot to deliver the final, crushing blow. The students watch in horror. He's gonna die, the male student yells. Bai Yuer panics. What do we do? Should I get Xiaobai to stall? Her friend cuts her off. Don't be ridiculous, he shouts, explaining that because her silver moon fox Xiaobai is a high-ranking pet beast, its loyalty will decrease if it's killed and revived. They can't risk it. But Bai Yuer refuses to stand by. With tears of determination in her eyes, she argues, but are we just going to stand here and let him die? It's better to lose loyalty than let someone die. The male student is taken aback, stunned by her unwavering resolve. He sighs, defeated by her argument and his own fear. Okay, let's give it a try, he relents. Do your best, try not to be a hero. Bai Yuer nods, trembling but ready to act. Well I. Suddenly she stops. A hand gently rests upon her head, stopping her from stepping forward. She looks up, her eyes wide with shock and awe. Lunar King, Su Liang. Su Liang has arrived. He looks down at the students, his expression calm but his presence overwhelming. Stand down, he commands. This is not your fight. He walks past them toward the rabbit as a magnificent, butterfly-like wing of energy materializes behind him. The moonlight, he observes, it's starting to converge. Continuing from the previous chapter, Su Liang, in his guise as the Lunar King, stands alone against a terrifying barrage of cosmic energy orbs hurtling towards him. Watching from a safe distance, a new companion with cat ears and Su Jing can only stare in disbelief. The sheer power on display is so immense that Su Jing questions if Su Liang can even be considered human anymore. Before him stands the source of the chaos, a colossal, glowing white beast resembling a rabbit, its sheer size dwarfing Su Liang completely. As Su Liang observes the desolate landscape, he internally notes that the beast's immense size and form don't match any of the supreme-ranked beasts known to exist in the world. A thought begins to form in his mind as he processes this strange information. A confident smirk appears on his face. He's figured it out. There's only one possibility that could explain this creature. The scene flashes back to about 10 minutes earlier. Su Liang was hiding behind some rocks, observing the chaos. Below, the cat-eared girl and Su Jing watched on with worry, feeling a strange sense of confidence in their reckless leader. But Su Liang's internal thoughts revealed a different story. He was sweating, admitting to himself that it was simply impossible for him to defeat this monster. He recalls how the beast had instantly defeated even the high-ranking beast of a 4-star instructor, leaving the man known as Black Whale battered on the ground. He lamented that his own beasts, Moon in the Lake and Flash Butterfly, were no match for it. To even identify its rank with his lunar tome, he'd need to touch it, an impossible task at the moment. Overwhelmed and out of options, he began to wonder if he should just give up entirely. But just as despair set in, a sudden realization struck him. He noticed something crucial. For all its power, the giant beast wasn't attacking his two companions, who were standing relatively exposed. He reasoned that it's impossible for a truly high-ranking beast to be both berserk and rational at the same time. A berserk creature would attack everything in sight. Therefore, looking up at the colossal creature, Su Liang knew there could only be one other possibility. Back in the present, Black Whale, still lying injured on the ground, looks up in shock to see the Lunar King standing right beside him. His shock quickly turns into manic excitement. He believes he's about to witness the unveiling of the Lunar King's favored beast, a scoop that would send massive waves through the world. He thinks he'll be the only one to see it firsthand, but his moment of triumph is cut short as he's suddenly lifted off the ground. On Su Jing's command, the winged beast Xiaobai has grabbed Black Whale by the scruff of his neck. Su Jing urges them to fall back while they still have the chance. Black Whale protests frantically, begging them not to take him away from this once-in-a-lifetime scoop. He continues to scream, pleading for them to stop, rescuing him, as Xiaobai dashes away from the battlefield. With the others gone, the clearing falls silent. It is now just Su Liang and the giant beast, facing each other alone. Su Liang calmly begins to explain his deduction to the creature. He states that a beast that goes berserk on a full moon can't be rational, which means the rabbit isn't truly berserk at all. He looks at the colossal beast, which seems to listen intently, and continues his line of reasoning, proposing that it's not acting out of malice, but simply on pure instinct. A confident smile spreads across Su Liang's face as he puts the final piece of the puzzle into place. Only low-level beasts rely on instinct, he declares, all but solving the mystery of the creature's true nature. He then extends a welcoming hand towards the giant creature. Looking up with a confident smile, he speaks directly to the beast, asking, "You've been looking for me, weren't you?" From a distance, his companions can only watch in utter confusion, wondering what on earth the Lunar King is planning. Suddenly, the cat-eared girl cries out in alarm, trying to get Su Jing's attention. The giant rabbit lets out a furious roar, its eyes glowing with rage as it rejects Su Liang's gesture. It lunges forward, launching a powerful attack directly at the seemingly defenseless Su Liang. Su Jing and the cat-eared girl look on in horror, with the latter shouting in panic that the Lunar King hasn't even summoned any of his favored beasts to fend off the attack. But Su Liang simply closes his eyes, remaining perfectly calm as the massive blow descends upon him, fully expecting him to be crushed into pulp. A single drop of water hits a liquid surface, creating a silent ripple. As the beast's enormous tail comes crashing down, Su Liang raises a single hand to meet the overwhelming force. A swirling vortex of water begins to manifest around his feet. From the water, the ethereal form of a female spirit emerges, wrapping herself protectively around Su Liang. This is his favored beast, Moon in the Lake. Moon in the Lake embraces him, creating a tranquil barrier of water and moonlight against the chaotic, starry sky. The attack connects, but it's completely blocked by the water barrier, leaving Su Jing, the cat-eared girl, and even Black Whale speechless. Lying on the ground, Black Whale stares in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend the power he just witnessed. As Moon in the Lake defends against the rabbit, Black Whale recognizes the display. This power is ancient, mysterious, and unknown, and there's no doubt this is the person mentioned in the Black Moon cult's secret intelligence. His eyes widen in sheer terror as the horrifying truth dawns on him. This man is not just a king, he is the emperor. As if sensing Black Whale's realization, Su Liang gives a subtle wink, a glint of moonlight in his eye. Su Liang cheers internally. His gamble was correct. Moon in the Lake managed to successfully block the attack. However, he knows they can't celebrate yet. The attack was far too powerful, and the exhausted Moon in the Lake won't be able to withstand a second one. But as Su Liang consults his lunar tome, a smile returns to his face. The book identifies the creature as a low-level lunar rabbit that lacks a lunar physique. With this new information, he realizes there's no longer a need to fight. The illustration in the book jogs his memory, and he exclaims in recognition, "So it's you." He recalls a past memory of the cat-eared girl, kindly offering a leaf to that very same small rabbit. He was right, it didn't attack them because it felt a sense of familiarity. "So that's how it is," Su Liang says with newfound understanding. He reaches out, gently placing his hand on the giant beast's fur. He explains the creature's condition, noting that its lack of a lunar physique causes an insatiable craving for the moon's power. He looks on with admiration, amazed that the rabbit forced itself to grow this powerful just to overcome its natural limits. The rabbit's glowing eyes soften as it seems to understand Su Liang's intent. Just then, a group of reinforcements arrives on the scene, landing gracefully on the battlefield. Led by a formidable blonde woman in a white cloak, they survey the destruction and wonder if they've arrived too late, surprising the cat-eared girl. From the ground, Black Whale chuckles maniacally. He tells the newcomers that their arrival is utterly meaningless. With a deranged grin, he declares that because they have disturbed the Lunar King, they are all going to die. The blonde woman and her companions are shocked to hear that the legendary Lunar King is present. Su Liang glances over at the newly arrived reinforcements. He knows he can't delay any longer. He turns back to the giant rabbit, asking it one more time if it is here for him. In response, the once rampaging beast gently places its giant paw on the ground before him in a sign of submission. It bows its massive head, acknowledging him. The reinforcements can only stare, completely baffled by this impossible turn of events. Su Liang smiles. He tells the rabbit that he is impressed by its unwavering devotion to the moonlight. As a reward, he will grant it the moonlight it so deeply desires. He makes a pact, promising he will see the rabbit again where they first met. The giant beast begins to dissolve into particles of light, before reappearing, now back to its original small size. The tiny rabbit then turns and hops away. The reinforcement leader asks if they should chase it, but her subordinate wisely points out that since the Lunar King isn't moving, they shouldn't dare to. Black Whale, however, is furious. He screams in frustration that he was beaten half to death and didn't even get to see the king's famous favored beasts in action. He confronts Su Liang, demanding to know how he can tolerate a beast attacking him and then simply let it go. Su Liang turns, his expression cold and his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. He scoffs, "You call that an attack?" Black Whale freezes, stammering in terror as he looks into Su Liang's eyes. He sees that the broken moon that was once reflected in his pupils has changed, transforming into the shape of an unrivaled, perfect full moon. The scene shifts. Black Whale finds himself standing alone in a dark, ethereal void as a mysterious voice asks him what he has just witnessed. He remains silent, his back turned, still reeling from the terrifying display of power. The scene shifts into Black Whale's consciousness, a dark void where the voice of his superior from the Black Moon cult interrogates him once more. "Black Whale, what have you witnessed?" The voice grows more insistent, demanding a response. But Black Whale is unresponsive, his mind consumed by the haunting memory of the battle, unable to think of anything but the clash between the Emperor's divine power and the beast's raw fury. Black Whale's mind flashes with fragmented memories of the battle, the raw, chaotic power of the beast clashing with the serene, divine power of the king's spirit. He remembers the image of Su Liang, calmly standing his ground as the water spirit moon in the lake embraced him, a perfect display of tranquility and control amidst the chaos. He sees again that cold, intimidating gaze, a look of absolute authority from someone who holds the power of the heavens. And most vividly, he remembers that eye, where the reflection of a broken crescent had transformed into an unrivaled, perfect full moon. Finally, having processed the unbelievable sight, Black Whale gives his report to his superior, uttering the only word that could possibly describe the man he saw: Emperor. Inside a nightmare, Black Whale shivers in absolute terror, his face pale and covered in a cold sweat. He collapses to his knees, clutching his head as a memory flashes before him. He screams in terror, having just witnessed the overwhelming power of the being known as the Emperor. His fear suddenly twists into a manic, crazed laughter as he remembers the awesome power of the Lunar King that he witnessed. The intense vision ends, leaving him exhausted. A voice speaks to him, suggesting he rest, as continuing would be too much of a burden for him. His superior, a shadowy figure, appears before him in the dream, informing Black Whale that the legendary sunken star crescent moon appeared in the northern region the previous night. Black Whale looks up in shock, stunned by this revelation. The sunken star crescent moon is a beast of immense power. The scene shifts to an agent from the Black Moon cult. The voice continues, explaining that the deputy leader is heading to the north, and Black Whale is to continue acting as an inside agent. As the agent falls through the dreamscape, the superior gives Black Whale his mission: to monitor the Lunar King's movements as closely as possible and report back regularly. Black Whale suddenly jolts awake in bed, breathing heavily as he escapes the intense nightmare. He sits up, looking around at the unfamiliar ceiling. He realizes he's in the Academy's medical room and wonders if what he just experienced was all just a bad dream. But his expression turns serious as he recalls the details. It wasn't a nightmare. He recognizes the being that communicated with him as the Covenant of Moon and Dreams, a high-ranking official's favored beast. He clutches his head, realizing that he was receiving direct orders from the higher-ups. The dream was a real mission briefing. The sunken star crescent moon has emerged, and a deputy head is on their way. He thinks back to the previous night, to the battle with the giant rabbit, and the emergence of Su Liang as the Lunar King. He wonders who could possibly handle the Lunar King's beast. A shocking thought crosses his mind. His eyes widen as he starts to connect the appearance of the sunken star crescent moon with the Lunar King. From the window of his medical room, Black Whale shouts in disbelief, wondering if the Lunar King and his allies are the cause of all these major events. The scene shifts away from the medical bay to another building on the Academy grounds. Meanwhile, in his own room, Su Liang begins to wake up from a peaceful sleep. He is woken by a sudden, loud wail. At the foot of his bed, the tiny moon rabbit is crying its eyes out. Startled by the noise, Su Liang sits up abruptly, surprised to see the small creature on his bed. He stares at the crying rabbit in confusion, momentarily forgetting the events of the previous night. Then a gentle smile crosses his face as the memory returns to him. The moon rabbit looks up at him with big, hopeful eyes as Su Liang remembers that he successfully formed a pact with the creature. The scene flashes back to the previous night, under the light of the full moon. Su Liang walks through the quiet academy grounds, having told the moon rabbit to meet him at the place where they first encountered each other, hoping the creature understood. And just then his eyes catch a familiar sight, bringing a look of realization to his face. Continuing the flashback, Su Liang finds the small moon rabbit waiting for him by the fountain, just as he had asked. He reflects on his decision to make the pact in secret. He admits to himself that his powerful performance as the Lunar King was just a massive bluff. If his fans and enemies found out he was actually weak, he'd be in mortal danger. Therefore, it's safer to do this where no one is around. With his decision made, Su Liang extends his hand and formally asks the lunar rabbit to make a pact with him. The pact is sealed in a brilliant flash of light, binding the boy and the beast together. Back in the present, Su Liang looks at the status panel for his newly acquired favored beast. He reviews his current lineup: the low-ranking lunar flash butterfly, the high-ranking moon in the lake, and now the seemingly low-ranking lunar rabbit. He muses that this lineup doesn't look very fitting for the mighty Lunar King, yet he can't forget how this rabbit was able to crush a high-ranking beast during the full moon. He strokes his chin thoughtfully, wondering what the rabbit's growth limit is and whether it has the potential to evolve and reach an even higher level. As his imagination runs wild with the possibilities, he suddenly gets flustered and cuts his train of thought short. Just then, the little moon rabbit begins to affectionately rub itself against his leg, vying for his attention. It looks up at him with its big, adorable eyes, letting out a happy little chirp. Overwhelmed by either his own ambitious thoughts or the creature's cuteness, Su Liang facepalms and sighs, deciding to just drop it for now. He decides his best course of action is to head over to the Moon Pavilion and have someone named Tanyan Jiayu check on the lunar rabbit's condition. However, as he opens the door to his room, he hesitates, sensing something unusual. He peeks out into the hallway and sees a commotion, with groups of students running past in a hurry. He watches them go, thinking to himself that this mad rush doesn't seem to be related to the incident with the giant rabbit from the previous day. As he listens in, he overhears the students talking. There's news of a wild, supreme-ranked, lunar-type beast that has appeared in the northern domain, not far from the academy. Some are even excitedly wondering if they should go and try to form a pact with it. Su Liang is stunned to hear the word supreme. He immediately pulls out his phone, his mind racing. A wild adult supreme-ranked beast wouldn't just be wandering around for no reason. He quickly does a search for supreme-ranked beast arriving in the northern region to find out what's going on. His eyes, which reflect the cosmos, widen in shock as he reads the headlines. The news is everywhere. The supreme-ranked beast, the sinking star crescent moon, descended upon the northern region this very morning. An image shows a massive, weapon-like object, with crowds of thousands already gathered, held back by the forces of the various lunar clans. An article provides a clear image of the beast, a magnificent, sparkling glaive. It is described as the only wild, weapon-type supreme beast in the entire lunar series. He reads on, learning that because it lacked a suitable master, it has been slumbering for years. Even the great Kang Yue Emperor and the 10 pillars of the Moon God Palace had failed to awaken it. As he walks down the corridor, now being watched by cloaked figures, he reads the most critical piece of information. The sinking star crescent moon woke up just yesterday and traveled to the northern region. Su Liang immediately understands the implications. Because it awakened right after his Lunar King persona was revealed, every major faction will inevitably associate the beast's appearance with the Lunar King, Su Liang himself. He knows that from this moment on, the eyes of the entire world are on him. Su Liang coolly assesses the situation, understanding that with the timing of his recent activities, nearly every major power will assume the sinking star crescent moon has appeared specifically for him. The cloaked spies hiding around the corner are shocked, expecting him to rush off towards the supreme beast immediately. But Su Liang simply turns and walks away, heading down a different staircase. The spies and other students are left dumbfounded, wondering how the Lunar King could possibly ignore the appearance of a supreme-ranked beast. As he walks, his true feelings emerge. He admits to himself that the idea of taming a beast as powerful as the sinking star crescent moon is incredibly tempting. But his confident expression immediately twists into one of pure anxiety. He panics at the thought of having to try and subdue it in front of a crowd of hundreds of thousands of onlookers. He imagines the absolute worst-case scenario, failing to handle the beast's power and dying instantly on the spot. His reputation as the mighty Lunar King would be shattered. With a smug smile, he decides it's far better not to risk it. Preserving his life and his carefully crafted image is the smarter play. Besides, he thinks there's a much prettier and more adorable option available to him just around the corner, leading him towards the moon pavilion. Inside, the white flower deer rests elegantly on a cushion, looking thoughtful under the light of a crescent moon window. Su Liang's hand reaches for the door to the chamber where the deer is located. Startled by the sound of the door opening, the white flower deer turns its head, its expression alert and surprised. Su Liang enters with a casual wave, greeting the deer. He thinks to himself that there's no need to chase after a risky and far-off prize when there are much closer, safer, and cuter options right here at home. The moon chaser deer, distroke letter 1 EOMP van tri NGUY letter 1 EC7T, looks up in surprise, asking, "You, what are you doing here?" Su Liang casually strolls in, informing the deer that the sinking star crescent moon has emerged, and asks if it's going to take a look. He smirks, teasingly asking how even a surfing fanatic like the deer already knows about such a significant event. The moon chaser deer turns away with a proud huff, retorting that it sensed the event long before any news about it was released online. They sit together under a giant moon projection as Su Liang poses a question. Wouldn't it be bad for the deer if someone else managed to subdue the creature? Su Liang flashes a peace sign with a smug smile, saying that the others still don't get it, comparing the magnificent beast to a mere action figure. He continues his strange analogy, claiming that something you can only see from a distance isn't as cute as a pet beast, leaving the deer utterly confused. Changing the subject, Su Liang turns to the moon chaser deer with a more serious expression, saying, "Oh, by the way." He presents a small, glowing orb, offering it as a token of his appreciation. The deer looks shocked as Su Liang explains that it's a thank you for its reminder that allowed him to take down the lunar rabbit. The moon chaser deer inspects the orb closely, asking if it's an expensive special pet food meant for a supreme rank beast. Su Liang smiles warmly and reassures the deer, saying it's okay and he can bring more. He casually reveals he has thousands of them in his favored beast space, courtesy of the Twin Moon sect. The deer stares at the valuable snack in its hoof, a bead of sweat running down its face as it contemplates the gesture. Su Liang notices its hesitation and asks why it isn't eating. The deer is holding a separate box of its own snacks. In a dramatic outburst, the deer clutches its snack box, declaring that snacks are, of course, to be saved for watching movies and reading novels. A tiny, Chibai Su Liang can only respond with a defeated "oh." Su Liang gets up to leave, explaining that if he stays too long, it might raise suspicions about the deer's true identity. But just as he's about to go, he stops, struck by a sudden idea. He realizes there's another way for them to get in touch, as the deer blushes in the background. With a charming smile, Su Liang holds up his phone and asks, "Oh, by the way, let's add each other as friends." The moon chaser deer, flustered but compliant, shyly agrees and pulls out its own phone. A moment later, a ding notification sounds from Su Liang's phone as he looks down at the screen. On his phone screen, a new contact appears under the name Promise of Clouds and Moon, right below his other contact, Moon Goddess Butterfly. Su Liang's eyes widen in shock. The profile picture for Promise of Clouds and Moon is a woman with the deer's exact features, who is described as the founder of the Twin Moons sect from hundreds of years ago. An image of a divine, powerful being flashes through his mind. He wonders, could this legendary imperial beast be the deer's ancestor? Utterly stunned, Su Liang holds his phone to his face, glancing between the screen and the innocent-looking deer. He nervously wonders aloud, can the moon chaser become like that when she transforms into a human form? The deer, completely oblivious to the existential crisis it just caused, simply tilts its head and asks, "What's wrong?" leaving Su Liang at a total loss for words. Snapping back to reality, Su Liang is momentarily speechless, letting out a flustered "ah." He quickly dismisses his wild thoughts, waving goodbye to the deer with a forced smile. "It's nothing, I'm going home, I'll be back tomorrow," he says, trying to act casual. The moon chaser deer simply watches him go, letting out a quiet "oh," still oblivious to the reason for his strange behavior. A blush creeps onto the deer's face as it completely misinterprets the situation. It muses that even with the sinking star crescent moon emerging, the Lunar King didn't care and came all the way here just to find it. Suddenly, it has a grand realization. "Ah, I got it," it exclaims, believing it has uncovered a master strategy. This move is called feigned retreat to lure the enemy. An image of a devilish Su Liang with a wicked grin pops into the deer's head as it comes to a conclusion. He's trying to trick me into joining the twin moon cult. The moon chaser deer strikes a heroic pose, filled with newfound confidence. HMPH, you cunning lunar king, it declares, I've seen through your scheme. After Su Liang has left, the deer stands alone in the quiet room, gazing at the large, simulated moon. It flops onto the bed, replaying Su Liang's parting words in its mind, particularly the phrase, he's coming tomorrow too. The scene shifts to the Grand Moonlight Beast Academy. A narration box explains that 3 days have passed, yet the Lunar King and the Twin Moon sect have made no move regarding the sinking star Crescent Moon. This inaction has caused the situation in the Northern Territory to become increasingly unclear and confusing, as a large, noisy crowd of beastmasters gathers. A woman with orange hair bellows at the restless crowd, "Stop messing around." She angrily clarifies that she is only sending them to broaden their horizons, questioning if they really think they can subdue the mighty beast. This is Ai Kisaragi, the vice president of the Moonlight Beast Academy. She sternly holds up a registration form, warning that while basic personal safety is guaranteed for those who sign up, anyone who doesn't will be on their own. Sitting at her desk, Ai grumbles to herself, wondering why she has to be the one stuck here responsible for the safety of the junior cadets. Her eyes widen slightly as she senses someone approaching her desk. She looks up to see an injured man with his arm in a sling and bandages on his face. "Master Black Whale," she asks in surprise, "why are you here instead of resting and recovering?" Despite his injuries, Master Black Whale gives a confident smile. "Let me handle it," he insists. "I've already asked the healer to revive my pet beast. It's no problem." Ai Kisaragi looks him up and down with a skeptical expression, questioning him with a doubtful, "Really?" She sighs and turns away, reluctantly agreeing. "Since you put it that way, then I'll leave it to you." As she walks off, she smirks to herself, thinking, HMPH, another one of those daydreamers. Later, Master Black Whale is manning the registration desk when 2 students approach him with concern. "Mentor Black Whale, are you all right? Are you feeling unwell?" one asks. He puts on a brave face, sweating slightly as he insists, "No, I'm okay." He looks off into the distance, his expression turning serious as he thinks to himself, that person is already here. A green-haired student at the desk diligently writes, her thoughts focused on a certain powerful figure. "Even though I have never met him, I am certain that the Honorable One will notify me in some way." She calls out next, as a mysterious person in a dark, face-concealing hood steps up to the desk, ready to sign the registration sheet. The hooded figure places her hand over the registration sheet, her presence casting a chilling aura over the desk. A close-up reveals a sinister tattoo on the back of her hand, a purple serpent encircling a triangle, marking her as a member of the Black Moon cult. Master Black Whale's eye widens in sheer terror as he recognizes the symbol. The hooded woman glances back at him, her eyes glowing menacingly from the shadows of her hood. A terrified Master Black Whale quickly ushers her away, stammering, Next. He breaks into a cold sweat as he watches her leave, the horrifying realization dawning on him. Surprisingly, it's her. The scene shifts to the sinking star Crescent Moon's domain, a massive pillar of glowing green energy. A blue-skinned woman remarks, "So this is the favored beast that is known to have cut down the stars in the past." She sweats nervously in awe of the spectacle. What a stunning aura. The woman, identified as Path Water from the Yellow Springs Path Water Creek sect, seems impressed by the power on display. A blonde man with a prominent mustache approaches her from behind and asks, "Do you understand now?" Path Water looks back, confused. The man, a mentor from the Moonlight Imperial Academy, explains the harsh reality of the domain. He warns that any non-Moonlight beast will be repelled, and any beastmaster who enters rashly is simply committing suicide. 2 women from rival sects, the Fallen Eclipse and the Spirit Moon sect, mock Path Water, calling her ambition to subdue the beast a foolish pipe dream. Path Water gives a cold, determined look, unfazed by their taunts. She turns her back on them, stating, "All right, I get it." She decides to order her disciples to return, but declares that she will remain behind. With a cunning smile, she thinks to herself, "Let's see which idiots will be so overconfident as to go in and meet their demise." As Path Water walks away, one of the rival women from the Fallen Eclipse sect mutters in disgust, "What a repulsive woman." The woman from the Spirit Moon sect angrily remarks that Path Water is a coward who wants to see others suffer. The woman from Fallen Eclipse adds that if it weren't for the power of the Yellow Springs Path, they wouldn't have tolerated her disrespect. The blonde Beastmaster steps in to mediate, telling them the situation is urgent, and they need to decide who is qualified to enter the domain. He lays down the first condition for entry, To avoid a backlash, one must be a beastmaster whose favored beasts are all of the lunar origin. The women listen intently as he explains the second condition. The presence of a supreme-ranked pet beast would instantly cause the sinking star crescent moon to become hostile. He confirms that only beasts below the supreme rank are allowed entry. Hearing this, the woman from Fallen Eclipse speculates, is this why the Lunar King didn't come here? The mentor replies, perhaps, but regardless. He then points forward, announcing to the group, we're there. The trio looks on with grim, determined expressions, bracing themselves for what lies ahead. AI Kisaragi leads her assembled cadets towards the domain, her face etched with worry as she thinks, I'm afraid that the cadets may suffer heavy casualties. She stops, her gaze locking with Pathwater, who is leaning against a tree with her arms crossed, waiting. The two women share a tense, silent stare-down. Pathwater narrows her eyes, returning AI Kisaragi's stare with a look of pure annoyance. AI turns to her students and formally addresses them. All right, cadets, we're about to enter the domain of the sunken star crescent moon. Now, I will explain to you the rules regarding it. She explains the first critical point, illustrated by an image of the beast in its slumbering weapon form, a massive, green-bladed halberd. When the sinking star crescent moon is slumbering, it is practically invincible. Her second point is shown with the weapon's eyes now wide open and glowing. When it awakens, she warns, it will unleash an indiscriminate slashing attack which will instantly disintegrate everything in its path. The scene cuts back to Su Liang, lazily scrolling on his phone in bed. He reads the final, frustrating detail about the beast. While possessing reason and life, it is completely incapable of communication. He sweats, annoyed by the troublesome nature of this powerful entity. The scene opens with a message from the moon goddess Butterfly, who recounts a past failure. She states that even powerful entities like Emperor Kangyu and the moon goddess Palace were defeated, implying that the new threat is something that cannot be easily overcome. Meanwhile, Su Liang, the person presumed to be the all-powerful Lunar King, is just lounging in bed and scrolling through his phone. He casually thinks to himself how brutal supreme ranks are, completely detached from the serious events unfolding. His conversation with the moon goddess Butterfly continues. She mentions that the entity, the sinking star crescent moon, came to the north because it sensed an opportunity to evolve. She asks Su Liang if he is sure he doesn't want to go deal with it. Su Liang just smiles, completely unfazed by the dire warnings from the moon goddess Butterfly. He turns off his phone, dismissing the gravity of the situation. He flops down on his bed, exasperated. He couldn't care less about subduing some ancient beast, wondering what any of this has to do with him. However, his lazy day is interrupted when he checks the news. He's horrified to see headlines claiming the Lunar King was secretly killed by a supreme-ranked beast. He realizes the world thinks he's dead, calling it the height of historical irony. Su Liang lies there, completely bewildered by the news he just read. His small rabbit pet rests peacefully on his chest, oblivious to its master's inner turmoil. Suddenly, he jolts upright. He realizes the supreme-ranked beast from the news might be his own pet. At the same time, the rabbit's eyes glow red as it puts a finger to its lips, as if telling him to keep it secret. He looks back at his phone, the source of all his current troubles. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as a terrifying thought crosses his mind. He starts to connect the dots between his pet's actions and the news reports. The scene shifts to the Moonville mountain range, where a group of beast masters from different factions are walking towards the domain of the sinking star crescent moon. Among them is a mysterious woman in a purple hood, Silent Libra. She observes the area, noting with surprise that the famous Lunar King hasn't shown up to the event. Someone reminds her that she is expected to have a way to subdue the sinking star crescent moon, placing the heavy weight of responsibility on her shoulders. However, Silent Libra has her own dark agenda. She inwardly plots to seize the sinking star crescent moon for herself and then eliminate all the other beast masters in the area. Her eyes narrow with cold determination. She will make sure that no information about her betrayal is ever leaked. Just as she basks in her evil plan, her communicator vibrates, snapping her out of her thoughts. She is startled by the unexpected alert. She pulls out her device, wondering why she would be receiving new intelligence at a time like this. Her confident demeanor shatters as she reads the message, her eyes widening in pure shock. The message reveals something unbelievable. The Lunar King, the very person she thought was absent, has just turned on his locator. And just as the alert predicted, Su Liang is now on the move, heading directly towards the Moonville mountain range, the location of the sinking star crescent moon. Back with the group, Silent Libra stares at her phone in disbelief, unable to understand why the Lunar King would choose to appear now of all times. Her distraction doesn't go unnoticed. AI Kisaragi, the vice president of the Moonlight Beast Academy, angrily confronts her, questioning why she's playing with her communicator at such a critical moment. AI's voice rises as she scolds the hooded woman, yelling at her for being absent-minded and asking if she wants to die here. Silent Libra remains silent under the verbal assault, her face hidden by her hood as she absorbs the scolding while her mind races with the new information about the Lunar King. Forced to hide her true nature, she bows her head meekly and apologizes to AI Kisaragi. To an outsider, she looks like a scolded subordinate, but beneath the hood, her humiliation is simmering. AI Kisaragi finishes her scolding with a final warning, telling Silent Libra that if she continues to be so lax, she might as well turn back now. She then turns away, leaving the hooded woman in the background. As AI walks towards the glowing entrance of the domain, Silent Libra watches her go. A faint, contemptuous heh escapes her lips, hinting at the rage boiling just beneath her submissive facade. In her mind, she imagines AI Kisaragi trapped and bound by snakes. A mere brat dares to lecture me, she seethes internally, her polite apology moments ago now revealed as a complete lie. Her eyes gleam with malice as she makes a silent, vicious vow. Once she gets her hands on the sinking star crescent moon, she will torture AI until she wishes she were dead. Putting her anger aside for the moment, AI Kisaragi gathers the group of beast masters to give them a final briefing before they enter the dangerous domain. She explains the main safety protocol for the operation, revealing a glowing teleportation stone that will be given to each participant. A diagram illustrates the stone's function. The moment it is crushed, the user will be instantly teleported out of the domain to safety. AI gives a grave warning, stressing the importance of the stone. She tells them to crush it the instant they sense the sinking star crescent moon is waking up, because if they hesitate, they will surely die. The beast masters listen with nervous expressions, the weight of the danger ahead settling upon them. Silent Libra stands among them, her face unreadable beneath her hood. But Silent Libra isn't focused on the mission briefing. Her mind is preoccupied with the impending arrival of the Lunar King, which takes precedence over everything else. Unbeknownst to the group, a blue-skinned beastmaster from the Black Moon cult is hiding nearby, spying on them from behind a tree. The blue-skinned beastmaster smirks condescendingly. They scoff at the idea that this weak-looking group could possibly subdue the sinking star crescent moon, a beast that even the legendary 8-star beastmaster, Kang Yue Emperor, failed to defeat. They continue to mock the group, noting that they are mostly low-level 3-star beast tamers. The spy concludes that the Lunar King's involvement hasn't made them any stronger, finding the whole situation boring. As the group approaches the glowing portal, Silent Libra suddenly stops. Something has caught her attention. The atmosphere shifts, and a dark, intense aura surrounds her as she enters a heightened state of awareness, sensing the hidden observer. With a flash of perception, her eyes snap open. She has pinpointed the location of the spy. A giant, spectral eye appears in the sky directly above the blue-skinned beastmaster, who is suddenly struck with a feeling of being watched by an immense power. Silent Libra gives a subtle, knowing glance in the spy's direction, confirming that she is aware of their presence and is now turning the tables. The group of beast masters continues to walk toward the entrance, completely oblivious to the silent, invisible confrontation happening right beside them. The arrogant blue-skinned beastmaster is suddenly terrified, letting out a curse as they realize they've been discovered by an overwhelmingly powerful entity. Even their snake-like companions recoil in fear. They are all stunned, wondering what level of beast master could possess such terrifying power. The spy is in utter disbelief, shocked that a monster of this caliber was hiding amongst the seemingly weak group from the Moonlight Beast Taming Academy. Meanwhile, the academy members walk on, none the wiser about the powerful master hidden in their ranks or the spy they just terrified. Silent Libra quickly refocuses on the mission. Knowing the Lunar King will arrive soon, she realizes she must first figure out the mechanics of the sinking star crescent. But just as she forms her plan, new orders come in. The directive from her superiors is clear and changes everything. She is to block the entrance to the domain, and when the Lunar King gets close, she must seal his Emperor-grade beast. In accordance with her new orders, Silent Libra takes her position, her long legs and heeled boots standing firm as she blocks the entrance to the domain. A powerful aura envelops her as she prepares to execute her orders, the sound of her energy humming as she gets ready to spring a trap for the Lunar King. From a safe distance, AI Kisaragi and the other beast masters from the academy watch on, unaware of Silent Libra's true identity or intentions as she stands alone before the glowing portal. The blue-skinned spy from the Black Moon cult decides to stir up trouble, approaching AI Kisaragi. They mock her group of low-level beast masters, smugly suggesting the real Lunar King didn't show up because he knows it's a suicide mission. AI's expression darkens, clearly annoyed that the spy has so easily seen through her expedition's thin premise. The blue-skinned beastmaster presses their advantage, a sly grin on their face as they question AI's real motive for bringing students to such a deadly location. AI's patience finally snaps. With a venomous look, she retorts that the blue-skinned spy is the one who's out of line, questioning why they're here to meddle with a beast of a different element and accusing them of coming just to gloat. The two stand face to face, a tense standoff between the Academy's vice president and the Black Moon cult's agent, both unwilling to back down. However, the spy becomes confused. They realize from AI's genuine anger that she seems to have no idea that the incredibly powerful dark-haired woman, Silent Libra, is an enemy mole within her own group. As they begin to probe AI about her academy, their sentence is cut short by a sudden, immense pressure that descends upon the area. Everyone freezes, their argument forgotten. The entire group, from AI and her staff to the arrogant blue-skinned spy, looks up in shock and awe at the newcomer's powerful presence. A silhouette resolves into a familiar figure. It is Su Liang, the Lunar King, who has finally made his grand entrance, causing the onlookers to cry out his name in disbelief. The entire assembly, including the Academy members and the spy from the Black Moon cult, can only stare as Su Liang coolly surveys the scene. Everyone is wondering the same thing. Why is he here? Breaking the silence, AI Kisaragi nervously approaches Su Liang, her previous authoritative demeanor gone. She respectfully asks if he truly intends to subdue the sinking star crescent moon. The other Academy members begin to panic, worrying aloud that if the Lunar King unleashes his powerful Emperor Beast, it could provoke the sinking star crescent moon and lead to disaster. But AI simply smiles, looking at her subordinates with an expression of pity. "Heh, you're all so ignorant," she scoffs, explaining that the Lunar King's presence means something far more profound. She proudly declares her theory. The Lunar King is so supremely confident that he plans to make the beast submit to him without even needing to summon his own powerful emperor. Su Liang maintains a cool and mysterious facade, letting them believe their grand theories. In reality, his goal is much simpler. He thinks to himself that his plan is easy. He just needs to touch the beast to unlock a new icon in his lunar tome. With a greedy glint in his eye, he muses that once the tome is unlocked, he'll be able to understand the beast's awakening mechanism, and perhaps even subdue it for his own benefit. Putting on a show of authority, Su Liang issues a sharp command to the entire group, including the stunned Black Moon cult spy: "Remain hidden and follow my orders." They all immediately assent, with the spy even stammering, "Yes, sir." With everyone under his command, Su Liang takes his first step into the shimmering, otherworldly portal of the sinking star crescent moon's domain. As he crosses the threshold, his eyes widen, the cosmic energy of the realm reflecting in his pupils. He is now inside. The moment he enters, the lunar tome in his hands activates on its own, flipping open to a new page, much to his surprise. The tome displays information on Silent Libra, revealing her to be a supreme rank beast of the purity attribute. It details her unique skills, including silence, an ability that can completely hide her presence even from emperor-rank beasts. Su Liang looks up from the book, a bead of sweat on his face. He's shocked to learn that another supreme-rank beast is hidden nearby, and he was completely unaware. The group outside can only watch as Su Liang stands just inside the glowing portal, his back turned to them. B-letter 1 ECF qua, exact duplicate. From the outside, the group watches in confusion. They don't understand why the great Lunar King would suddenly stop right at the entrance. Having just learned about the hidden supreme rank beast, Su Liang does the most unexpected thing. He pulls out his phone to look up information. His audience is completely baffled. They cannot comprehend why the mighty Lunar King, in the middle of a grand entrance, would suddenly pause to check his phone. As Su Liang casually scrolls, AI Kisaragi approaches hesitantly, completely bewildered by his anticlimactic behavior and unsure of how to address the supposed ruler of the moon. Having gathered the intel he needed, Su Liang puts his phone away and turns to the group with a knowing smirk. He coolly asks how they could have let those little insects from the Black Moon cult get in so easily, bluffing as if he knew they were there all along. The entire group is stunned into silence. AI and her companions are shocked, but no one is more terrified than the blue-skinned spy, who can't believe their cover has been blown. Su Liang then makes his move. He places a hand near Silent Libra, who is still guarding the entrance, and declares that the entire area is now under the control of the Twin Moon sect, forbidding anyone else from entering. With a final, confident smile that leaves no room for argument, Su Liang announces that he will take care of the rest personally, perfectly concluding his performance as the all-powerful and omniscient Lunar King. Upon arriving at the entrance to the Serpent's Seat, the Twin Moon Sect cadets are stunned to learn of their opponents. The name sends a shockwave through the group, the Black Moon Cult. One of the cadets recalls the terrifying woman they encountered, realizing she must be one of the Black Moon Cult's beastmasters. A silver-haired cadet voices her confusion, believing the cult had been driven out of the northern region. She questions if they've returned specifically for the sinking star crescent moon. Another cadet remembers the Lunar King's dismissive words, calling the cult mere insects, but she remains worried about the safety of the other cadets. Ai Kisaragi tries to reassure herself, thinking that the cadets should be safe as long as they have their teleportation stones. Meanwhile, Su Liang observes from a distance. He deduces that the cult's use of the Silent Libra, a tool effective against the Emperor rank, means they must believe he possesses an Emperor-class beast. He realizes this implies he won't just be facing one, but potentially multiple supreme-ranked favored beasts upon entering the glowing portal. He takes a deep breath, acknowledging to himself that this will be the most perilous situation he has ever faced in his life. He reflects on his past. If this were when he had first crossed over, he admits he wouldn't have possessed the courage to go inside. But now things are different. A confident smirk plays on his lips. With a resolute look, he declares, "It's hard to tell," and boldly steps toward the shimmering entrance. Su Liang vanishes into the portal, leading to the Serpent's Seat. The cadets watch in awe, stunned by the sheer power of his imposing aura. As expected of the Lunar King, one of them mutters. The unnamed cadet with the injured arm grits his teeth as he watches Su Liang disappear, noting that the Lunar King has really gone into the Serpent's Seat. One of the cadets immediately suggests they should follow and help, reminding them that the Black Moon Cult remnants are inside. The injured cadet passionately agrees, shouting that after all, the Lunar King is one of their own. His argument seems to sway the others. Ai Kisaragi turns to her companion, asking if they should indeed go in and help. But the injured cadet suddenly reverses course, frantically warning them that their combined strength would awaken the sinking star crescent moon. He declares that he will go in alone, claiming his own favored beasts are too weak to cause a problem, and makes a dash for the portal. The other cadets are left bewildered by his strange behavior, openly questioning if someone who looks so battered could possibly be reliable. Ai Kisaragi watches him go, her suspicion growing. She notes how weird he's acting, wondering if he's even a member of the Twin Moons sect at all. A sly grin spreads across the injured cadet's face as he approaches the portal, revealing his concern for the Lunar King's safety was just an act. As he reaches the entrance, a strange yellow energy begins to crackle around his hand, suggesting he's about to unleash a technique. Before he can make his move, a powerful shockwave erupts from the portal, sending him flying backward amidst a cloud of dust and debris. The other cadets are thrown into confusion by the sudden blast, shouting in alarm as they try to comprehend the unexpected attack. Coughing and struggling to his knees amidst the smoke and debris, the injured cadet can only wonder what just happened. He looks up in a rage, furious at the attack, and yells, "Old man, haven't you gone too far with your fantasies?" As the smoke clears, a towering, powerful woman emerges, mocking him. She tells him that even if all their beasts were at their peak, they'd have no chance of waking the sinking star crescent moon. The cadet sees a distinctive butterfly tattoo on her thigh and realizes in horror who she is. He recognizes her as one of the Twin Moon sect's legendary 12 Moon disciples, the seventh in line, and knows the Serpent's Seat is now in trouble. The formidable disciple addresses the other cadets, asking if they didn't hear the orders of His Highness. Towering over them, she makes a declaration. From now on, this area is under the control of the Twin Moon sect. Her eyes glint with fierce determination, showing she means business. She stands over the defeated cadet, a clear display of her overwhelming power and authority. Despite his defeat, the cadet sees a sliver of hope. He believes that since she hasn't noticed the Silent Libra or shown any intention of entering the portal herself, there's still a chance for things to turn around. Meanwhile, inside the sinking star Crescent Moon's realm, the Black Moon Cult Beastmaster walks through the desolate, starry landscape. She grows impatient, noting that it's been over 10 minutes and she still hasn't been able to locate the artifact. She observes her surroundings, noting with satisfaction that the trash that came in with her is now gone. She smirks, knowing that low-ranked beasts can't even be released within the confines of a supreme rank's domain. She imagines the other, weaker cadets must have gotten scared and used their teleportation stones to flee in a panic. Pleased with this development, she confidently thinks to herself that now no one will be able to disturb her. Suddenly, her senses flare up, and she is startled by an unexpected presence. She whips around, trying to pinpoint the source of the disturbance. She feels it clearly now, the unmistakable aura of a very powerful favored beast. Without hesitation, she leaps into action, rushing towards the source of the powerful aura. Her eyes narrow with focus as she confirms her suspicions. I was right, she thinks. And there it is, she has finally found the sinking star, a magnificent glowing green spear. She marvels at the weapon, noting that, as expected of a supreme rank weapon, it is absolutely magnificent. Her face lights up with ambition. She reveals that she had purposefully avoided signing a pact with the Silent Libra, just so she could maintain the purity of her attributes for this very moment. She approaches the artifact, beckoning it to come with her, claiming she knows what it wants. She recalls how it rejected the Kang Yue Emperor and the Moon Goddess because they were born as emperors. In her mind, she sees the silhouettes of the two powerful female emperors who were previously rejected by the artifact. The Beastmaster interprets the weapon's brilliant glow as a response to her presence. She believes that as a proud weapon, it couldn't stand the feeling of not being appreciated, and she is the worthy master it has been waiting for. Confident in her own power, she reasons that while she may not be as gifted as the emperors, she is still a 6-star Beastmaster. She extends her hand, which bears a strange symbol, towards the artifact, promising, I will never treat you poorly. With manic determination in her eyes, she reaches out and screams, Sinking star crescent moon, become mine. She lunges toward the magnificent spear, repeating her demand for it to become hers. Her hand, marked with the cult's symbol, gets ever closer to the shaft of the legendary weapon. But just as she is about to make contact, the sinking star crescent moon erupts in a blinding flash of light, rejecting her touch. The Beastmaster is thrown back, her face a mask of pure shock and confusion. What? She exclaims. Recoiling from the spear's defensive blast, she stammers in disbelief. How is it possible for me to be rejected? Her eyes, now resembling a snake's, are wide with fury and humiliation. Clutching her head in agony and frustration, she questions everything. Could the Holy Sun's conclusion be wrong? Her frustration boils over. Impossible, she screams, recalling how the Holy Sun himself said she was the most suitable person to acquire the artifact. What the hell went wrong? Suddenly, her frantic thoughts are interrupted by an unfamiliar voice shouting, Hey, Moonlight Beast Academy woman. A new group appears on the scene. Their leader, a young man from the Lingyu sect, points an accusing finger at her. He claims she defeated over 20 of their disciples and boldly declares they will avenge their companions. Just then, the new arrivals spot one of their fallen comrades, crying out, Junior brother. The leader rushes to the injured man's side, demanding to know what happened. With his last breaths, the junior brother whispers, We've been attacked. He clarifies their attacker wasn't from the academy. It was a woman with black hair and chilling, snake-like eyes, perfectly describing the Black Moon cult Beastmaster. Understanding the truth, the Lingyu sect leader rallies his followers, shouting for everyone to take down the Beastmaster first, after which they will subdue the sinking star Crescent Moon. Hearing their plan, the Beastmaster, who had been stewing in her own failure, begins to laugh, a low and menacing sound. The Lingyu sect leader is infuriated by her reaction. Why are you laughing? He demands. The Beastmaster looks up, her face a mask of contempt. She says it's annoying enough as it is, but now a bunch of ungrateful trash has shown up just to die. Her eyes flash with rage as she snarls, questioning how they could even dare to think of getting their filthy hands on her prize. Her expression turns utterly demonic, her eyes glowing with power as she screams, Come on out, my darlings. She unleashes her power, calling forth her favored beasts in 3 brilliant pillars of light. 2 massive beasts materialize. One is a ghostly white humanoid figure called Lightning Moon, perched atop a colossal, starry manta ray-like creature known as Dawn floating under the moon. A close-up reveals the ethereal and menacing form of Lightning Moon, crackling with purple energy. The members of the Lingyu sect are frozen in terror. Their leader stammers that all of the summoned beasts are high-ranking, while another points out that summoning 3 at once should be impossible for a mere cadet. The Beastmaster stands before her terrifying summons, creatures that have slaughtered countless foes without mercy. She taunts her new opponents, telling them not to just compliment her. She sarcastically asks why they don't summon their own high-ranked beasts. Then she unleashes her darlings, screaming that if they don't fight back, they will all go to hell with their fallen comrades. Her third beast, a formidable bull-like creature, looms behind the defeated Lingyu sect members as the Beastmaster stands victorious. With the trash taken care of, she turns her attention back to the silent spear. Sinking star Crescent Moon, she calls out, Did you see that? She presents the carnage of the defeated Lingyu sect and their beasts as a tribute, asking the artifact, "Now, do you recognize my power?" But the magnificent spear remains utterly silent and still, offering no reaction to her display of dominance. The Beastmaster grits her teeth, her face twisting in pure fury at being ignored yet again. She clenches her fist, shaking with rage. "Damn it," she seethes. Just then a calm, new voice cuts through her frustration, calling her Black Moon cult trash. She is startled by the sudden intrusion. It is Su Liang. He appears with a knowing smirk, mockingly stating, "Even I can't help but laugh at your anxiety." The Beastmaster whips around, her eyes wide with shock. "So you're here." She recognizes him instantly as the Lunar King, especially as his own powerful favored beasts materialize behind him in a display of power. Trying to regain her composure, she sneers at him. "Just you alone. As a one-star Beastmaster, why didn't you ask your guards to follow you?" Su Liang's face darkens as he retorts, "You don't really think that just because you have an emperor, you can do everything you want, do you?" Internally, however, Su Liang is exasperated. "These brain-dead idiots," he thinks, "they really think I have an emperor." The pieces click into place for him. He realizes they used the Silent Libra because they mistakenly believe he possesses an emperor-ranked beast that is now sealed, rendering him powerless. The Beastmaster stares at the desolate landscape of the Serpent's Seat, her mind racing to understand how the Lunar King found her. Su Liang calmly agrees with her unspoken thoughts. "You are correct. A single emperor can't do everything." Her eyes widen in shock as he continues. "That's why the answer is the same whether or not the Silent Libra is present." The implication floors her. His eyes gleam with strategic brilliance as he delivers the final blow. "So before the Twin Moons sect seals this place off, you'd better crush the teleportation stone and run away." The Beastmaster is utterly stunned into silence. She had already smashed the stone, trapping herself here on purpose. A cold sweat runs down her back as panic sets in. He knew about the Silent Libra. How could it have been exposed so easily? The horrifying truth dawns on her. He knew the Emperor was blocked, so he came here alone on purpose, luring her into a false sense of security. Frozen with fear, the Beastmaster weighs her options. Seeing Su Liang standing near the artifact, she wonders, do I run or attack? Her gaze shifts to her own formidable beasts, weighing their power against the lone figure of the Lunar King. But Su Liang completely ignores her, turning his attention to the artifact with a gentle smile. "Please, just stand there and let me touch the sinking star crescent moon," he pleads softly, as if speaking to a person. He then calmly walks toward the colossal weapon, dwarfed by its immense size. Gazing up at its magnificent, glowing blade, he whispers in awe, "This is the favored beast that cut down the stars once." He reveals his deep understanding of the artifact's true, legendary nature. He gently reaches out and places his hand upon the spear. Instead of rejecting him, the weapon's light seems to sparkle and welcome his touch. With his hand on the artifact, Su Liang's gentle demeanor vanishes. He turns to the Beastmaster with a cold, possessive glare and shouts, "Don't even think about touching the sinking star crescent moon." The stage is set for the final battle. The enraged Beastmaster and her monstrous summons face off against the Lunar King, who now stands as the chosen master of the legendary weapon, his eyes glowing with newfound power. The battle rages on as a giant, shadowy beast with jagged teeth and glowing purple energy lunges forward to attack. In response, an ethereal, white, spirit-like figure emerges, whipping out a defensive tendril of light to meet the incoming assault. The two powerful forces clash, with crescent-shaped blades of light cutting through the air as Su Liang watches from below. Su Liang stands his ground as he conjures a swirling vortex of water, forming a powerful defensive barrier against the enemy's attack. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster looks on with a shocked expression, unable to believe what she's seeing. "What? How is this possible?" she exclaims. She stares in disbelief, realizing that none of her beast's powerful attacks have managed to even make Su Liang flinch. Her frustration grows as she notes that Su Liang is defending so effectively without even having summoned his own favored beast. Su Liang, however, puts on a show of relief, comically wiping sweat from his brow and thinking to himself that the scary-looking attack was all for show. He glances at his ethereal guardian, the spirit known as Moon in the Lake, and internally compliments its impressive defensive power, despite its inability to fight back. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster's expression darkens with rage as she grits her teeth and finally acknowledges her opponent's true identity, snarling, Lunar King. Losing her composure, she furiously yells at Su Liang, demanding that he stop acting so high and mighty. From her perspective, we see her hands moving to cast a powerful spell as she shouts that without an emperor, he is nothing. She brings her hands together in a prayer-like gesture, channeling a powerful and sinister energy. The cost of her spell becomes apparent as blood begins to drip from her nose and mouth, a sacrifice for the power she is about to unleash. She stands in the center of a complex magic circle, etched in glowing red runes on the ground, pulsing with dark energy. With a crazed and desperate expression, she screams out the name of the entity she is summoning. "Come out, great moon devourer king." A massive, swirling vortex of dark purple energy erupts from the earth, signaling the arrival of the terrifying beast. Watching from a distance, the other students can only let out terrified screams as they witness the horrifying summoning. Su Liang remains composed, a sword now planted in the cracked earth. He reveals his counter-strategy. He had used the Silent Libra's power to mask the beast's scent. This was done so that the sinking star crescent moon, a legendary weapon shown as a magnificent green and gold glaive, wouldn't notice the beast's presence. He explains that this act of concealment was the key that allowed him to summon another supreme being, as the giant, slavering maw of a serpent begins to appear. The mighty Great Moon Devourer King is fully summoned, a colossal black serpent with a crescent marking and piercing yellow eyes, towering over the Beastmaster. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster, blood still on her face, laughs triumphantly. "How's that?" she taunts Su Liang. "In front of my proudest child, even you will be scared." The scene pulls back to reveal the truly overwhelming scale of the confrontation. Su Liang, a tiny, solitary figure, stands completely unfazed between the colossal Great Moon Devourer King and the legendary sinking star Crescent Moon Glaive. The Beastmaster's triumphant expression falters, replaced by stunned disbelief. All her power, this supreme beast, and yet, he shows no fear. She stares at Su Liang, her mind racing as she struggles to comprehend his reaction. His expression, why is he so indifferent? The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster is internally raging, wondering how Su Liang can be so nonchalant. Does he not even care about a supreme-ranked beast, she thinks. However, Su Liang's calm expression is just a facade. He's simply recalling some advice he once read online. When you look at a big fierce beast, you have to look fierce so you can die with more dignity. Internally, he's panicking, with the words "I'm dead" repeating over and over in his mind. Unaware of his inner turmoil, the Beastmaster grows more infuriated by his apparent arrogance, screaming, "Lunar King, you still refuse to summon your favored beast." Provoked by the command, the Great Moon Devourer King lets out a furious hiss, its body tensing as it prepares to strike. The colossal serpent slams its tail into the ground with devastating force, shattering the earth, yet Su Liang remains standing by the ancient glaive. Su Liang coolly observes the chaos and thinks to himself with a hint of sarcasm, "Wow, as expected of a supreme-ranked beast, even their madness is unique." Having had enough, the bloodied Beastmaster points a trembling finger at Su Liang and gives her beast the final, chilling order: "Kill him." The Great Moon Devourer King obeys, unleashing a vast, web-like torrent of destructive purple energy directly at the seemingly defenseless Su Liang. Faced with the overwhelming attack, Su Liang closes his eyes, his outward calm finally breaking into a sweat. He puts all his faith in his one defensive skill, thinking, well, it's up to the moon in the lake ability now. The scene shifts to a serene image. Su Liang stands on a tranquil surface of water, but his reflection is that of a beautiful, long-haired woman, the true form of his moon in the lake power. The serpent's devastating attack slams into Su Liang's position, causing a massive explosion of dark energy that completely obliterates the ground. But as the smoke clears, Su Liang is revealed to be standing completely unharmed in the center of the crater, protected by a shimmering barrier amidst the swirling dark energy. Having successfully weathered the storm, Su Liang opens his eyes, a confident and slightly smug smile playing on his lips. His relief manifests in a bizarre, comedic outburst as he shouts, "Praise the day, praise the sun," while his inner chibi self cries tears of joy. The reason for his celebration is revealed. An infographic explains that as a lunar-type pet, his moon in the lake spirit can only perform at half strength during the day, and the beast's attack didn't even deal 30% damage. Now brimming with confidence, Su Liang taunts the Beastmaster with a smirk. "If you want to break moon in the lake's shield, you'll have to use more power." He lands the final verbal blow, adding, "But I don't think you can do it." His words hit home as the exhausted Beastmaster collapses to her knees, spent. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster stares up in utter disbelief, blood and tears streaking her face. How can it? Is this the legendary moon god's favor? She wonders, awestruck by his power. Su Liang calmly looks down on his defeated opponent. "There's no need to hurry, Black Moon," he says, turning his back on her. "Once I've dealt with the sinking star Crescent Moon, you'll get your turn." A shocking realization dawns on the Beastmaster. She understands that the Lunar King had been intentionally disregarding her, his true focus being to avoid awakening the sinking star crescent moon. In a close-up of her eye, we see the reflection of Su Liang standing before the glaive. Her mind flashes back, finally comprehending his true goal. Lunar King, she thinks, a new plan forming. Deciding to force his hand, she taunts him. I wonder if that invisible shield of yours, that far exceeds common sense, will be able to withstand the blade that cuts down the stars. Su Liang's expression turns serious. Knowing he has no other choice, he calls upon his hidden power, declaring, Silent Libra, release your battle technique. As Su Liang invokes his power, the great Moon Devourer King senses the immense energy shift and lets out a guttural roar. As Su Liang unleashes his technique, a ribbon of glowing green energy, the Silent Libra, unwraps itself from the sword planted in the ground. He immediately realizes his critical error. Oh shit, he shouts, knowing that with the Silent Libra's cover removed, the Supreme Rank's aura will be detected, alerting the sinking star. The ancient glaive begins to tremble. A golden, armored hand grips its shaft, and with a powerful crack, it pulls itself free from the earth, which shatters around it. The sinking star crescent moon awakens, revealing its true form, a stunningly beautiful woman with flowing green hair, who stretches lazily as if waking from a long nap, the massive weapon held effortlessly in her hand. Her brilliant green eyes, sharp and powerful, snap open. The legendary sinking star crescent moon is now fully awake. She effortlessly hefts the massive, ornate glaive, its crystalline green blade humming with an ancient and immense power. The sheer force of her awakening sends a tremor through the battlefield, causing the ground to quake and sending large rocks flying into the air. The students watching from a nearby canyon are caught in the shockwave, stumbling in confusion and terror. What's going on? One of them cries out. One of the students, a girl holding a staff, recognizes the terrifying power signature and screams at the top of her lungs. It's the sinking star. The sinking star crescent moon has awoken. Run away, her warning sends the other students scrambling for their lives. The newly awakened sinking star crescent moon immediately goes on the offensive, swinging her glaive to unleash a devastating wave of energy. Su Liang braces himself, summoning his water shield to defend. Su Liang, sweating profusely, clings to a sliver of hope. He reasons, the great Moon Devourer King blow only dealt less than 30%, so the rest of the protection of the moon in the lake should be able to block it, right? His hope is instantly annihilated. The attack crashes into his shield, shattering it instantly, leaving him to utter a single, confused, "A." The horrifying reality sets in as his moon in the lake spirit is overwhelmed and dispersed. No, he thinks in terror, the chance of blocking it is less than 1%. His face goes blank with utter shock as he comprehends the difference in power. What the hell, is the gap between the Supreme Ranks that big? In a panic, he looks over towards the other Supreme Beast, desperately wondering, what kind of defense is that serpent's seat woman using? But he finds no answers there. The great Moon Devourer King is coiled up tightly, motionless and silent, completely intimidated by the sinking star's overwhelming presence. The sinking star crescent moon hovers in the air, radiating an aura of absolute power, while Su Liang can only look up, completely overshadowed. Looking down in despair, Su Liang accepts the grim situation. The other supreme-ranked beast is no help at all. As expected, he thinks, she also can't stop it. He stands alone against the swirling green energy, his cloak whipping around him, seemingly out of options and resigned to his fate. In a final, desperate act, Su Liang throws his head back and screams a name, a last-ditch call for aid. Treading clouds chasing moon, help me. The scene flashes back to a few minutes prior. A group from the Twin Moon sect is gathered, and one woman is complaining to their elder. Elder, are you even listening? I told you a woman from the Moonlight Academy attacked us. A hot-headed student with spiky brown hair angrily chimes in. How could the people of the Moonlight Beast Academy do such a thing? While another injured student kneels beside him. The gray-haired elder sighs, pinching the bridge of her nose in exasperation. Calm down, she clarifies. That wasn't someone from the academy, that was a member of the Black Moon cult. She reflects internally on the gravity of the situation, thinking that for ordinary students to survive an encounter with a high-ranking cultist is nothing short of a miracle. The elder stands with her arms crossed, listening as the other woman from her sect continues to speak, setting the scene for their group's presence near the chaotic battle. The scene stays with the Twin Moon sect group. The woman who was just complaining now looks over at her companion, the one called Treading Clouds Chasing Moon, and wonders, but how is that woman so calm? The woman in question leans against a rock wall, her arms crossed, looking completely unbothered. Her internal monologue continues as she stares at her companion's indifferent expression. Isn't she worried about the safety of the Lunar King? Suddenly, the calm woman's eyes snap open with alarm. The The bell on her choker jingles as she abruptly senses something is wrong. This is the moment she hears Su Liang's desperate telepathic plea for help. Her composure completely shatters. She whips around in shock, exclaiming, "The sinking star crescent moon." Was it alarmed? Her sudden panic alerts the rest of her group. The entire group now looks on in shared horror. The orange-haired woman screams, "Sinking star crescent moon is opening its eyes." The chapter ends as Su Liang's reinforcements finally realize the true, terrifying scale of the battle they are about to join. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster is enveloped in a strange aura as she warns everyone present to retreat immediately. As the ground trembles and rocks fly, the Beastmasters flee in terror. One of them screams in fear as she runs for her life. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster, now weakened, senses a strange and fleeting aura amidst the chaos. Suddenly, a massive wave of water erupts, a skill used by the Lunar King. The Beastmaster is shocked, wondering if it's the power of the Emperor she senses. The Lunar King, Su Liang, is frustrated. He had tried to call out the name of the beast, but it didn't work. He suspects that the boundary and the silent Libra's technique are blocking his voice. Suddenly, the legendary beast, Sinking Star Crescent Moon, appears in the form of a female warrior. She is poised to strike in less than 3 seconds. The countdown begins. Su Liang smirks, thinking to himself how the times have changed as he realizes he can't call for help with his voice and must resort to other means. With only 2 seconds left, Su Liang quickly pulls out his phone to send a message. With just 1 second remaining, his finger hovers over the send button on a desperate message. "Help me." Sinking Star Crescent Moon glares down with fierce determination, her eyes locked on her target. She swings her massive spear downwards, aiming directly for the small figure of Su Liang below. The enormous warrior looms over Su Liang, her attack about to connect. Despite the overwhelming odds, Su Liang reveals his face and prepares to confront the immense power descending upon him. He reaches a hand upward, a look of intense concentration on his face. From Su Liang's perspective, the attack from Sinking Star Crescent Moon is immense and seemingly unavoidable. As the attack closes in, Su Liang reaches out as if to catch the weapon with his bare hand. A brilliant light begins to emanate from his outstretched hand, preparing to meet the strike. A blinding flash of light erupts from Su Liang's position, completely engulfing the area. The impact results in a massive explosion, tearing the ground apart. The shockwave is so powerful that it sends the fleeing Beastmasters flying through the air. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster protects herself with a barrier, wondering if the immense power she just witnessed belonged to the Emperor. As the dust begins to settle, one of the onlookers anxiously asks if the Lunar King is still there. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster senses that the situation is far more complicated than she could have ever imagined. The entire battlefield is now covered in a thick layer of smoke and dust, the acrid smell of the explosion hanging heavy in the air and obscuring everything from view. Then, from within the thick smoke, a faint coughing sound breaks the silence, hinting at a survivor amidst the chaos. The Black Moon Cult Beastmaster emerges from behind cover, coughing and complaining about the awful smell left after the explosion. She feels disoriented, realizing that her silent Libra can no longer sense the surroundings. She assumes it must be due to the powerful impact of the Sinking Star Crescent Moon's attack. In the middle of the crater, the Sinking Star Crescent Moon spear floats peacefully, having calmed down after its violent outburst. A sudden panicked thought strikes the Beastmaster as she looks around the empty battlefield. Hold on a second, where's the Lunar King? She scans the desolate landscape, completely baffled. The Lunar King was closest to the epicenter of the blast, so how could he have vanished without a trace? Staring at the now dormant weapon, she begins to wonder if he was completely obliterated by the Sinking Star Crescent Moon, leaving not even ashes behind. A slow smile spreads across her face as she looks at the mark on her hand. She reasons that since her plan successfully alarmed the Sinking Star Crescent Moon into attacking, then technically. Her eyes widen in ecstatic disbelief as the realization hits her. She covers her mouth as she processes the unbelievable thought, I defeated the Lunar King. The Black Moon Cult's Beastmaster, Serpent Seat, laughs maniacally. She is overjoyed, believing that the legendary artifact, the Sinking Star Crescent Moon, has successfully killed the Lunar King. She mocks her fallen enemy, laughing at how he was distracted by his cell phone until the very end. The scene shows Su Liang, the Lunar King, calmly looking at his phone amidst the light of a massive explosion behind him. Floating amidst the rubble of her attack, Serpent Seat throws her arms out in celebration, screaming that she has defeated the great Lunar King. With a greedy and triumphant expression, she declares that the powerful Sinking Star Crescent Moon is now hers for the taking. The massive, ornate polearm, the sinking star crescent moon, flies through the air. In the background, Serpent Seat reaches out, ready to claim her prize. Suddenly, her victorious expression vanishes, replaced by one of pure shock and disbelief. The sinking star crescent moon is now held by its sentient form, a woman with long, light green hair. Serpent Seat is stunned, wondering why the weapon is alarmed again when it should be hers. Serpent Seat glances at the massive tail of her own beast, the great lunar devourer king, and reasons that in its weakened state, it couldn't possibly be the cause of the weapon's reaction. Her confusion only deepens as she fails to understand what is happening. As Serpent Seat watches, a huge cloud of smoke and dust billows up from the crater where the Lunar King was supposedly defeated. From within the smoke, Su Liang emerges. He stands there calmly, without a single scratch on him, a slight smile on his face. Serpent Seat stares in utter disbelief. It's impossible. Not only is he completely uninjured, but there isn't even a speck of dust on his clothes after taking a direct hit from the sinking star crescent moon. The source of the smoke is revealed. A colossal leg has just stomped the ground, yet Su Liang stands calmly beside it, completely unfazed. Sweating and completely bewildered, Serpent Seat can only stare and wonder what on earth is going on. A new, massive creature emerges from the smoke. It's a shadowy beast in the shape of a deer with glowing eyes. Serpent Seat wonders if this could be a young Emperor-rank beast. She continues to analyze the situation in a panic. The creature is far too large to be a supreme rank, but if an Emperor rank were to appear, the entire northern region should have been in an uproar. Her eyes widen in terror as she realizes she has no idea what this powerful entity is. Her body trembles as she clutches a blue crystal, a tool for a quick escape. However, she clenches her fist, deciding against fleeing. She realizes this is a rare and valuable moment. Her fear is replaced by a steely determination. She vows that even if she dies here, she must witness the Lunar King's favored beast. Looking up at the colossal beast, she recognizes this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to gather information on the true power of the Lunar King. As she watches, the beast's antlers begin to shimmer and transform, their shadowy form crystallizing into a brilliant purple. The transformation continues, spreading from the antlers down through the beast's body as it takes on its true form. Before Serpent Seat's shocked eyes, the beast's full form is revealed. Standing majestically under the light of the full moon is a magnificent, ethereal deer with crystalline purple antlers. An inscription identifies it as a supreme-rank beast, treading clouds chasing moon. As the magnificent beast stands proudly, its power radiates outwards. A translucent, spectral image of a beautiful, white-haired woman with closed eyes appears behind it, hinting at the beast's true spirit or perhaps its ancestral form, a being of immense power and grace. Crumbled on the ground, Serpent Seat stares in utter disbelief at the majestic beast that has just appeared, unable to comprehend how this is possible. Her own beast, the great lunar devourer king, rears its head, looking minuscule and terrified in comparison. She realizes that the new creature is 4 or 5 times bigger than her own powerful beast. The size difference is staggering. The elegant, deer-like treading clouds chasing moon towers over the coiled form of the devourer king. Serpent Seat reflects that while her beast is considered one of the most terrifying in the Black Moon cult for its size, she has never seen a supreme-rank creature this massive in her entire life. She looks from the beast to Su Liang, trying to find a logical explanation. She reasons that there's no way he could possibly utilize the full power of a supreme-rank beast with what she believes is just his one-star favored power. Seeing Su Liang with his eyes shadowed, seemingly straining, she incorrectly concludes that this must be his one and only weakness, that he can't fully control this immense power. However, Su Liang's internal thoughts reveal the truth. He is not straining at all. He is simply in awe of the spectacle, thinking to himself, what a spectacular sight. He continues to admire the transformation, smiling as he thinks about how the small, white deer he knew became so magnificent. Even he was shocked by the sudden display of power. Looking at his loyal beast, he wonders how she managed to get here so quickly. He notes that her arrival felt like teleportation, and he couldn't even see how she saved him from the attack. His gaze drifts to the ghostly, feminine silhouette behind the deer, the image of its ancestor. With a moment of levity, he wonders to himself if his little deer will grow up to be as curvaceous as the silhouette. Bringing his focus back to the battle, Su Liang speaks to his protector, treading clouds chasing moon. He asks if she can stop the sinking star crescent moon, as he'd rather not get cut by it again. Sensing her response, Su Liang seems a bit flustered. He questions her vague plan to simply hinder or block the enemy, asking hopefully if she has a more concrete strategy since she's already here. Suddenly an idea strikes him, and his expression turns serious as he thinks, hold on. He recalls the moment the blade struck him. He realizes that being cut by the weapon was like making direct physical contact with the sentient beast's main body. This realization is key. Because he has made contact, he should now be able to access the details of the sinking star crescent moon within his powerful artifact, the lunar book. Ever the cautious planner, Su Liang hedges his bets. He knows that simply reading the information might not solve the problem, so he keeps an escape plan in his back pocket. If things go wrong, he'll have treading clouds chasing moon carry him away. The lunar book reveals a crucial piece of lore. The sinking star crescent moon is a legendary beast that lost its scabbard in ancient times when the moon shattered. For millennia, it has been trapped in a cycle of sleeping and waking, searching for its scabbard and refusing to communicate with any living being. As he processes this, the book unlocks another piece of information. The name of the lost scabbard is the Crescent Moon Frost Blossom. Su Liang is surprised to learn that a supreme rank sheath even exists. A plan begins to form in Su Liang's mind. He strokes his chin thoughtfully, believing that with this crucial information about the lost scabbard, it shouldn't be too difficult to finally communicate with the sinking star crescent moon. He understands the weight of this secret knowledge. Even the most ancient and powerful organizations like the Moon Palace have no record of this and no way to communicate with the legendary beast. Looking at the sentient weapon floating in the air, Su Liang comes to a startling conclusion. The sinking star crescent moon must have been born even before the moon god's palace was ever established. He reasons that because this history is so ancient, it's highly likely that even the current host of its lost scabbard, the crescent moon Frost Blossom, is completely unaware of this connection. As Su Liang strategizes, the sentient form of the sinking star crescent moon begins to stir, her eyes glowing with immense power. Seeing this, Serpent Seat begins to panic again, screaming that the beast is opening its eyes once more. In a desperate move, Serpent Seat turns and runs towards her own coiled beast, yelling for the great Moon Devourer King to quickly protect her from the awakening threat. In response to its master's command, the great devouring moon orb enters its aggressive, residual blood phase. Spikes erupt from its body as it roars, preparing to face the newly awakened power of the sinking star crescent moon. Instead of attacking Su Liang, the sinking star crescent moon turns its attention to his protector, glaring intently at the supreme rank beast. Treading Cloud's chasing moon is unimpressed by the challenge, giving a dismissive side-eye as it thinks, "What the hell are you looking at?" The two powerful beasts face off, their immense auras clashing and crackling in the air, creating a tense stalemate on the battlefield. While the beasts are locked in their power struggle, Su Liang makes a bold move. He completely ignores Serpent Seat's attacking beast and walks away from the safety of his own protector. Hiding behind her own beast, Serpent Seat watches in confusion, wondering what the Lunar King could possibly be planning now. Her confusion turns to shock as she realizes Su Liang has intentionally left the protective range of his own supreme rank beast, making himself completely vulnerable. With a confident smirk, Su Liang walks directly towards the legendary weapon and issues an audacious command. "Sinking star crescent moon, submit to me." The scene shows the full standoff. Su Liang, a lone figure, stands boldly before the sinking star crescent moon, while Treading Cloud's chasing moon continues to hold the Devourer King at bay in the background. Su Liang reveals his trump card. He holds up a simple ring, the lost scabbard known as the Crescent Moon Frost Blossom. As he presents it, a spectral hand from the sentient weapon reaches out, drawn to its long-lost other half. The sentient form of the sinking star crescent moon is utterly shocked, her eyes wide and white with disbelief at what she is seeing. A brilliant flash of light erupts as the presence of the lost scabbard is fully revealed. Su Liang stands confidently, holding the key to her millennia-long search in his hand, and calls out its name, Scabbard, Crescent Moon Frost Blossom. Her shocked expression softens slightly as Su Liang speaks directly to her, confirming her greatest desire. "Sinking star crescent moon," he asks, "are you looking for it?" He then makes his grand offer. Swearing in the name of the lunar goddess Flash Butterfly, he promises to bring the scabbard to her within 3 years. He lays out his condition for this impossible promise. In exchange for the return of her scabbard, she will have to grant him a favor. The sinking star crescent moon stares at him, her mind reeling as she silently considers the life-altering contract he has proposed. Having heard the offer, she slowly closes her eyes, contemplating the first glimmer of hope she has had in thousands of years. With her eyes fully closed, she makes her decision. Her sentient, human-like form dissolves back into pure green energy, merging once again with the polearm. She has accepted the terms. As the deal is struck, Su Liang reaches out and places his hand on the polearm, sealing the contract between them. Serpent Seat watches in horror as her beast's attack passes harmlessly through Su Liang's body. She can't comprehend how it's possible. Having formed the contract, Su Liang is now imbued with a portion of the weapon's power, as swirls of water magic begin to manifest around his feet. With the sinking star crescent moon now under his command, Su Liang is surrounded by powerful streams of water that rise from the ground and spiral around the weapon. Now under his command, the weapon's aquatic power is drawn towards Su Liang, coalescing around him in a swirling vortex of raw energy. The vortex of energy flows into Su Liang's hands. He closes his eyes, absorbing the power and internalizing the new contractual bond as a silent acknowledgement echoes across the battlefield. The sinking star crescent moon has accepted the Lunar King. Treading clouds chasing moon watches its master, who is now surrounded by the swirling blue energy of his new contract, its expression filled with curiosity and awe. A close-up on the deer's large, sparkling eye shows its complete admiration for Su Liang's accomplishment. It can only let out a quiet, impressed, "Whoa." Standing amidst the powerful streams of water magic, Su Liang knows the significance of what he has just done. He thinks to himself that now, the entire world is going to be in an uproar. With a confident smile and a determined fist, Su Liang is ready for the consequences. He has not only survived, but has gained an incredibly powerful new ally. Serpent Seat is utterly broken by this turn of events, screaming that this is impossible. She knows that for millennia, tens of thousands of beast tamers have tried and failed to form a contract with the legendary sinking star crescent moon. Countless powerful figures have reached for it, yet it has rejected them all, only to finally submit to the Lunar King. The nature of the sinking star crescent moon is absolute. Once it forms a contract with a person, that contract can only be broken by the death of the contractor. Therefore, for the sinking star crescent moon to agree to a contract, it must be because it believes the person is impossible to defeat. And that person is none other than the Lunar King himself. Realizing the sheer difference in power, Zatoa slumps in defeat. She mutters to herself that this must be the only way to truly understand. With newfound resolve flashing in her eyes, she decides that if she must die, her death will serve as a final, crucial message to the Black Moon cult. In a last-ditch effort, she screams out the name of her ultimate skill, summoning the great moon-devouring king. A monstrous, spiky black serpent erupts from the ground, ready to fight. The Lunar King stands calmly, facing the massive beast as it lunges towards him. The Lunar King looks on, unimpressed. He thinks to himself that this woman has seen too much, and while he doesn't like silencing people, he'll have to make an exception. Suddenly, his own beast, the white deer known as Treading Clouds Chasing Moon, intervenes and fires a powerful blast of energy. The beam of purple energy completely engulfs Zatoa's serpent, causing a massive explosion. The shockwave from the blast ripples through the landscape, obliterating everything in its path. Even the Lunar King is taken aback by the sheer power of his own companion, wondering if the pet food he's been giving her was a bit too powerful. As he looks at the splatters of blood on the ground, the pieces start to click into place for him. The Moon God's Palace, the Moon Pavilion, the White-Flowered Deer, and the Lunar King. It all makes sense now. Zatoa falls to her knees, staring in disbelief at the blood-soaked ground where her beast was just moments ago. The white deer, Treading Clouds Chasing Moon, has a realization of its own. This power is not merely that of an innate supreme rank. Zatoa looks up in horror as the deer understands its true nature. It is the descendant of an emperor. A vision of its majestic ancestor appears, hinting at an even more powerful lineage. Clutching a blue teleportation crystal, Zatoa knows she can't die yet. The information she's gathered is far too important and must be delivered. She resolves to create a distraction, believing there's still a chance to escape. She stands to face the Lunar King, who now hovers above on a giant manta ray-like beast, pointing down at her. She believes that as long as she avoids a direct confrontation with the Lunar King, she can still escape since the area isn't fully sealed. With a determined grip, she crushes the crystal, intending to teleport away. Her expression shifts from determination to utter shock. Instead of teleporting, she sees her escape crystal hovering in the air right in front of her. Her plan was foiled by the most unexpected of creatures. The crystal was snatched from her by a tiny, seemingly harmless creature, a low-ranking flash butterfly. The Lunar King holds the teleportation crystal, the flash butterfly resting on his finger. Zatoa stands defeated as the spirit of the sinking star crescent moon now floats near his other beast. He gives a confident wink, explaining that on a chaotic battlefield of supreme ranks, of course, no one would ever notice a low-ranking flash butterfly. He looks over at the defeated Zatoa and asks, "Don't you agree?" She can only stand there, battered and broken. A faint, accepting smile forms on her lips. She admits that while it's probably too late, she finally understands why he holds the title of Lunar King. The Lunar King's white deer companion watches silently as Zatoa accepts her fate. With her final breath, she looks at him with a sense of peace and says, "Lunar King, it was an honor to have fought against you." As Zatoa vanishes, a new figure arrives on the scene. A beastmaster with cat-like features looks on in shock, calling out for her lord. She cries out, "The Holy Lord," as the Lunar King stands amidst the aftermath of the battle. The cat girl and other followers have arrived. She kneels before him as he gives the order. "The serpent's seat is dead. Lift the blockade." The followers look at their leader with awe and anticipation as he prepares to make another announcement. He declares coolly, "From now on, the sinking star crescent moon will remain with me." The news that the Lunar King had single-handedly subdued the legendary sinking star crescent moon sent a massive shockwave through all the forces of the lunar lineage. The scene shifts to the southern region, home of the powerful Azure Moon Holy Sect. A woman with long pink hair, Emperor Kangyue, is relaxing in a spring under the moonlight when a subordinate rushes in with terrible news. The subordinate breathlessly reports that the sinking star crescent moon was subdued by the Lunar King. Emperor Kangyue remains unfazed, calmly looking at an orb of water in her hands and stating that she already knows. She acknowledges that the Lunar King is the darling of the moon and the rightful holder of the lunar tome. Her subordinate insists that she too is great, being a 4-star beastmaster with an emperor-rank companion and eyes that can see through all moonlight. A sly smile crosses Emperor Kangyue's face. She agrees the moon is favoring someone, then gives a shocking order. All qualified participants from their sect are to give up on the upcoming Moon God Festival. Her subordinate is stunned into silence, unable to comprehend the command. Meanwhile, the scene changes again, this time to a lonely shore on the northern edge of the central region. A woman with horns, the antelope seat, reports to a hooded figure, "Your Holiness, those two are about to arrive." The hooded figure, the holy son of the Black Moon cult, asks her, "Antelope seat, do you think that I'll lose to the Lunar King once more?" The antelope seat responds with unwavering loyalty, stating that even if she were the last one left, she would never doubt that he will overcome the Lunar King and restore their cult to its former glory. Just then, two powerful entities arrive, emerging from a colossal water dragon. They address the hooded figure, saying, "Black Moon's holy son, we hope your plan will not disappoint us." The new arrivals, Starstruck Moon and Yellow Spring Road of the Nine Hells, make a grim vow. If they are killed in battle, their entire clan will willingly submit to the Lunar King. They warn that no one can defy the gods. The Holy Sun, however, is completely confident. He reassures his followers, "Don't worry, the plan will be successful." With their objective set, the Holy Sun declares their plan. They will go to the Moonlight Academy, wait for the Moon God Festival, and there, they will kill the Lunar King. Back at the Lunar Museum Star Hall, the Lunar King himself wonders if the Moon God Festival is truly about to begin. His companion, Treading Clouds Chasing Moon, explains that the Moon God only descends when the moon is at its absolute peak, and the last festival was over 1,000 years ago. The Lunar King facepalms, revealing he already knows and has been contacted by the Dean of the Imperial Beast Academy. The Moon God Festival is an event where all chosen lunar beastmasters must fight for the ultimate moon throne. The prizes for winning these battles are immense, allowing beastmasters to grow at an astonishing rate and fueling even more conflict for the throne. The festival will not end until someone ascends to the throne or everyone else forfeits. Furthermore, a condition has been set. The festival will not conclude until he has defeated the Kangyue Emperor within 3 years, leaving him speechless. Making matters more complicated, the participants can locate each other. Annoyed, the Lunar King explains that because of this, the director has asked him to protect 2 of her participating students. He has a complete meltdown, screaming about why he has to fulfill the promises made by his predecessor and wondering just how many people were fooled in the name of the Moon God. Treading Clouds Chasing Moon tries to reassure him, reminding him of the rewards and boasting that in 3 years' time, Emperor Kangyue won't even be able to hold a candle to him. She then reveals a critical piece of information. There's a rare chance to obtain pages from the lunar tome. She explains that the owners of these pages can break their contract limit and contract dozens of pets, which catches the Lunar King completely by surprise. He's left dumbfounded, realizing that if a mere few pages can grant such power, then he, who holds the entire book, must possess an unimaginable potential. His amazement turns to confusion as he wonders how others could possibly get pages from the tome when he has the entire thing. His companion simply yawns, bored with his questions. Changing the subject, she playfully nudges him, suggesting he should ask the keeper to give her more free time to roam around. She sweetly offers to help keep an eye on the two students he has to protect, if only she were allowed to go out in the moonlight more often. She gives him a pleading, winking glance, hoping her cute display will work. Her playful nudge sends him flying into a wall, cracking it on impact. The two stare at each other in silence for a moment. The Lunar King stumbles away, clutching his side and grumbling that a blow from a supreme rank beast nearly punctured his kidneys. He pulls out his phone with a vengeful look. In their group chat, he sends his companion a savage reply to her request, a link for 100 ways to cook venison. As she's left speechless by his message, he notices that the information on the two students he needs to protect has finally arrived. The first file is on Bai Yuer, a 16-year-old princess and human tiger hybrid. She is the companion of a supreme rank beast, but it is currently in a deep slumber, likely due to her own low cultivation level. He muses to himself, "I thought she was a cat girl, but she's a tigress." The second file is on Bai Yao, also 16, the fourth princess of the prosperous Bai Yue Empire. Her most notable achievement was summoning a supreme-tier beast to fight in a battle when she was very young. He sighs, realizing the burden he's been given, protecting the daughter of an emperor and the daughter of an empire. Calling them two troublesome guys, he prepares to forward their details. He forwards the student profiles to his cat girl subordinate, who playfully replies, "That one on top looks interesting. I'll take care of her." That girl, Bai Yuer, is currently pouting with a disappointed look on her face. Sitting on a swing set with Bai Yao, she complains that the sinking star crescent moon was subdued by the Lunar King just like that. She sighs that she didn't even have time to dream about it. Bai Yao gets up from the swing, telling her it's time to go. They need to head to the teaching area for an important announcement. As the two girls walk away, Treading Cloud's chasing moon watches them from the bushes, identifying Bai Yuer as the little half-blood girl from the White Saint clan. The deer notes that while the girl's scent is memorable, she doesn't seem to be very bright. It sniffs the air, noticing the first drops of rain beginning to fall. Sensing that this kind of rain will greatly reduce its abilities, it decides to head back to safety in case something happens. But just as it turns to leave, its eyes snap open in alarm as it senses a powerful presence approaching. A swirling vortex of water and raw power erupts nearby. The energy violently bursts from the ground, right in the middle of the academy, sending shockwaves through the area. A massive armored creature made of water, the supreme rank Heavy Rain Tyrant, materializes before the terrified students. It declares, "Found it," one of the 5 supreme objectives. It towers over them, issuing a cold ultimatum. "Child, you have 10 seconds to summon all of your favored beasts." As the girls tremble in fear, the creature states that it doesn't have a habit of killing beastmasters with sneak attacks. Bai Yao spots a glowing insignia of 7 stars on the creature's shoulder and screams in terror, "7 stars. This guy is the favored beast of a 7-star beastmaster." Watching from a distance, Treading Cloud's chasing moon comes to the same horrifying conclusion. A 7-star beastmaster is an emperor. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more awesome stories.